Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here on Delete Everything podcast. Our creepy, mouth-breathing, basement-dwelling uncle who sits around all day eating old, unrefrigerated yogurt and searching the dark web for the unknown, forgotten, and partial histories that you forgot about. I'm Patrick Wall, and with me, as always, my submissive little slave and co-host,
Riley Bowen.
I knew you were gonna take a beat on that one. I don't wanna
Take a beat is a funny joke after you said that.
after you're my submissive slave. Boy, oh boy, do we have a fun one for you guys today. First off, to those of you who have given us ratings and reviews, thanks a ton. We love you. For those of you who haven't yet, we could love you. We want to love you. But first, there's a quid pro quo here. You got to get on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, any other platform you might be listening to, and give us 5 stars. That helps us immensely on the business end of this, and it just gives us more visibility when other people are looking for new podcasts to listen to. So I know that I've said it before, but just to reiterate, when we look at stuff like sponsorships and ad revenue, we don't want to do cut breaks. That messes up the whole flow of the show, and we don't want to do that to you guys. We want to be able to do our own ads inside of the show. So like, for example, if we were to be sponsored by Blue Chew, we're going to do a free one for you guys. I would have made a comment last week that Guts and Borglum's incessant need to carve up giant mountains was due to his inability to maintain an erection. And if he got some boner pills from BlueChew.com, he would experience longer-lasting, stronger boners that would allow him to spend more time slinging dick.
And if I had gotten the chance, if that was like what we were doing when we talked about the dick that looks like it's going into a butt on the back of Mount Rushmore, I'd have been like, looks like that mountain took some Blue Chews.
Yeah. So those businesses want to see engagement between us and you guys before they let us do stuff like that. They want to see that, you know, we're playing back and forth off of one another. So when I tell you guys to hit us up and let us know what you like, what you don't like, what topics you want to hear us do, etc., we legitimately want to hear from you guys. So tap those 3 little dots, give us 5 stars, leave us a review, tell us anything you want to tell us. And if you want to send us a message, say whatever you want, you can hit us up at deleteeverythingpodcast@gmail.com. We've also got some social media and other ways of supporting us that we will plug at the end of the show. So let's fire up our rig and get on some BDSM message boards.
I fucking hate this so much already. Okay, because you guys, you've noticed probably by now that I haven't done an introduction, like one of the funny, silly introductions. I did have a thought that it might be nice if I like broke into what he was saying with like a record scratch, and then done like a bunch of effects like I'd murdered him. That'd be fun. That's what I would have done. But Patrick wouldn't tell me anything about what we're doing other than the fact that it's a true crime episode. And if you know anything about my take on true crime, I fucking hate true crime.
It's a true okay. So first of all, it's a fucking doozy, and it is a departure from what we normally do. But honestly, I encourage you guys to stay to the bitter end, because this story is like, this fucking ride just keeps twisting and turning to
bitter
the very end.
Barely know her.
But I don't know why I did this to myself, because this was fully my idea, and Riley groaned about it.
I'm groaning right now. I just did on the podcast. I went,
well, weeks ago when I mentioned it, but if you guys didn't know, it's been mentioned before in another episode. I am a fan of true crime stuff for a bunch of reasons. I mean, as someone who's overly empathetic most of the time, it's like wild to me when I hear stories of people with like zero regard for other people, whether it's a disregard for their property, a disregard for their hard work, a disregard for their humanity, a disregard for their whatever it is. Just sort of like the psychology of what these infamous serial criminals / murderers, whatever, where they came from as far as their backgrounds is fascinating. The physiology of like the fact that they're normally beaten horrifically as children and like what that does to developing brains is fascinating. And so just sort of almost like from a clinical standpoint, not that I'm a clinical psychologist or a doctor or anything like that, it's just, it's intriguing.
I mean, I have a very similar take on that kind of thing, because I don't really like true crime stuff in the form of like just telling the story.
Yeah.
But I voraciously actually will read stuff about like FBI analysis of serial killers and things like that because the psychological element of that is huge to me.
Yeah, we don't want to just tell the story from just like and then he did this terrible thing and then he did this terrible thing. I mean, he did a lot of terrible things, but we're going to be able to like make fun of him the whole time.
I'll give you an example. I don't have this at the top of my fingers because I'm not really prepared for this episode because Patrick was insistent that he not tell me what's going on so that I could go a lot on this episode. But
I just wanted to see your sincere reactions.
Right. A while ago, I read the book Mindhunter by the FBI profiler.
Great book, great show.
Really, really cool show. The book was fascinating. Obviously, the show's based off the book.
Bummer that they didn't keep going with the show.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do a comeback at some point. Fincher's
they probably will.
Weird
Everyone
like
does.
That. But I really, really liked that book, Mindhunter, because it's almost exclusively about the psychological angle of serial killers. And then that guy did like a couple of follow-up books that are more intense and more descriptive and more like the second one that I read. Like right off the bat goes into a very graphic description from the eyes of the killer of like a really intense sexual assault and murder.
Jesus.
And like I'm reading it like this isn't fun. Like, this isn't what I wanted to like tune in on. I want to be in the eyes of like the person catching the guy. I don't want to fucking. But then I realize, of course, that like the whole point is that you're supposed to be able to put yourself into the shoes of the killer to like ugh.
Yikes.
But I don't want.
Yeah. Well, all that being said, like I said, I don't know why I did this to myself. I didn't really think about the absolute white fucking hot fury that I was going to feel like researching this episode. This dude is just absolutely a truly horrific fuck starting like real early in his adult life.
So just disclaimer for everyone listening.
Oh yeah, I'm getting to that.
This is
I'm getting to that part. Yeah, and the escalation of this dude is like I don't get it, but you know it happened, and here we are. And so, in keeping with the delete everything format, you know, everybody knows the Ted Bundys, everybody knows the John Wayne Gacy's, the Ed Gaines, you know, Richie Ramirez and Gary, all the boogeymen, you know,
playing the hits.
Yeah, but there are a lot of these guys that slip through the cracks in terms of being on that boogeyman list. I don't know if doing episodes like this is the right thing to do. I'm sure that some of these guys like crave notoriety, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely not keen to grant them that shit. Like, as far as I'm concerned, this dude could die in a cell choking on his own fucking viscera and nobody ever hear about him. But it's also like, I feel like some of this shit, particularly his later crimes, are pertinent to the times that we live in, where everyone is like just a couple of fucking computer clicks away from one another. So that's also like, I fucking hate it. I hate this man. I will be silently raging for much of this episode. And you'll see why soon enough.
I did toy with the idea of just doing a hard veto on this one because I mean this is a partnership here on the podcast. You know, if one person's just absolutely like not, then you can't
That's
do
true.
it. You know?
That's true.
But
I think I think once we get into it, you're gonna like
after our last
appreciate
after
it.
our last episode, we had the discussion about what it is to contextualize history.
Yeah,
you know, and good with the bad. You gotta.
That's true.
If we're gonna talk at length about things like the genocides of the native peoples,
oh jeez,
then we should also be able to talk about individual instances of like serial murder or psychological torment. You know.
Well, and we'll see if you guys like it. Then you know we'll
then
put
you're
that
fucking sick. You're sick fuck.
Like the story, not the events that happened. Like if you guys like the story.
If you like it too much, you really gotta look at that kind of
you
thing.
Sick fucks. But yeah, we in an attempt to suppress my rage, I'm going to make a lot of jokes about what a fat, tiny dick loser this motherfucker is. And I want you guys to know that in spite of the jokes we're going to make around these events, we aren't joking about the people who lost their money or their loved ones or their lives because of him. We don't think that's funny. We'd prefer, or I mean, at least I certainly know I would. And I think Riley, once he hears the story, would also prefer. We would prefer if these events never happen, but we can't do that. All we have is a stupid fucking internet show and jokes. And it's sort of like an if you don't laugh you cry situation.
If I could turn back time,
oh Jesus!
If I could find a way,
exactly,
then I'd have had that guy not hurt you.
Right? Yeah. Well, listen,
and
all
you'd
of
say,
All of that being said, if you are sensitive to this kind of stuff, now is the time to just go to the next episode
Skip
or
it,
the
man.
previous episode.
Legitimately skip it. Like
Yeah.
this is we're not even fucking around here.
Listen,
This
if you're
is-
sensitive to this shit, listen to one of our lighthearted episodes.
This is going to be really graphic and unpleasant.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what it is, but I know for a fact it's because I was just watching this fucking asshole, Patrick, watch him do the notes. And while he's doing the notes, he's like rubbing his head and going like, oh, fuck, God. So
Yeah.
just listen to a different one.
If shit like this upsets you, just do a different one. So, if you listen to the entire episode and then you complain later, like you have been given ample warning at this point. So if you stay for the whole thing, that's on you.
I'm going to give you 3 seconds just of silence, free time to turn it off starting now. Okay. Warned you.
So we are going to talk about a man today, if you hadn't gathered that much, named John Edward Robinson. He has been dubbed the internet's first serial killer. That's kind of a misnomer because the internet really only came into play at the end of his murdering days, and most of his victims weren't lured by him via the internet.
Lured.
Sorry, I'm from Louisiana, dude.
Lured. I done lured him into the swamp.
So John Edward Robinson was born on December 27th of 1943 in Cicero, Illinois.
That was mid-World War II.
Yeah, Cicero is in northeast Illinois. It's basically a suburb of Chicago. It's part of the greater Chicago area, right? Now, Cicero has a pretty interesting history. In the 1920s, after building up his criminal empire to run shit in Chicago, pretty famous mobster by the name of Alphonse Gabriel Capone moved out to Cicero.
Who's that?
Alphonse Capone. Al Capone.
Oh, Al Capone. Okay.
Yeah, the Gambino.
I didn't know an Alphonse. The Gambino, I thought that was
that's
Babe
a different
Ruth.
guy, yeah.
It's the great Bambino.
I don't know.
Sultan of SWAT.
Yeah, Al Capone moved out to Cicero initially to be out of the reach of Chicago's North Side Gang, which was like where all the beef, the Valentine's Day Massacre and all that shit was like.
Right.
Eventually, though,
all the beef because Valentine's Day Massacre took place in the meatpacking district. Get it?
I did not think about that, but it's a good one.
It might not have actually. I could
I
be
don't
making
know that
up.
it did, but it might have. I don't know.
Anytime I've seen it depicted, it's always in an empty warehouse. So
It's in 1920s Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole city looked like an empty warehouse.
the whole thing was just a meatpacking plant. It was the whole
all of Chicago.
1920 Chicago.
Just
Everyone
so much
was,
meat. So initially he moved out of there to be out of the reach of Chicago's North Side Gang. Eventually, though, it was to be out of the reach of the Chicago PD. So, but that was 20 years before Robinson was born. So let's talk about Cicero 8 years after Robinson was born. You see, Cicero was an all-white town in the 50s. Right outside of Chicago, all-white town.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Seems deliberate. That is until July of 1951. So at the time, the laws were starting to favor neighborhood desegregation. So a young African-American World War II veteran named Harvey Clark Jr., who was working as a bus driver for the Chicago Transit Authority, decided to move his wife and 2 young children to Cicero. When they first showed up to move into this new apartment, who do you think greeted them at the entrance to the building?
That would be a Mr. Robinson.
That was a landlord happily handing them the keys, neighbors welcoming them with pies in hand. The sheriff of Cicero standing there blocking the entrance and saying, "Get out of here fast."
Ooh.
Shoving Harvey Clark away and saying, "There will be no moving into this building." Yeah, that's what happened. The last one. Like I said earlier, though, the laws were favoring desegregation by this time, so Harvey Clark went and got a court order and came back to move his family in. So the residents had a huge write-in to their local county commission to remove the family. The commissioners said, "No, shut up," and everybody calmed down and quickly realized that the Clarks were lovely, hardworking, generous people, and that judging people by their race is fucking dumb.
Yeah, everything worked out.
Oh, no, sorry, I read that wrong. It says here that a mob began gathering almost immediately, heckling them and throwing rocks, and that mob grew to 4,000 people by nightfall.
That's a lot of people to hate just like 4 black people.
4,000. It was him, his wife, and their 2 kids.
Yeah, that's
4,000 white people outside screaming, throwing rocks. The Clarks were run out of town without ever getting to spend a single night in their new apartment. Their belongings were smashed, ripped, tossed out of 3rd-story windows. set on fire, and just for good measure, the entire building was firebombed, leaving the rest of the presumably white people who lived in that apartment fucking homeless.
Fuck 'em.
I mean, I would guess that some of the people in that apartment were probably in that mob too. Like, we don't want them living in my building.
You burn it down.
Jesus. That mob went on to flip cop cars and throw shit at firefighters when they were attempting to put out
they
the
were
fire.
just worked up, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you run downtown to a major metropolitan area after like the hockey team wins, you know.
Yeah.
And all the people are gonna flood out of the bars after the win, and like then things are gonna go get crazy. You know, it's like that.
I think you're talking about Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, or Detroit actually. After when I was growing up in Royal Oak, Michigan, a lot of the times if like the Red Wings are gonna win,
Jesus.
then because I lived right close to the downtown, so like run up like 10 minutes before the buzzer or whatever, and then watch everybody flood out. It was really cool. Except that was not racism and horror based.
Right. Yeah. Well, Philly's notorious for like a team winning a thing and then the whole town just decides to riot in the streets and flip cars and shit.
You gotta unwind.
I'll tell you what, my anxiety was up so high during that game. I feel like I need to set this local business on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that was a New York accent, but I can't do a Philly accent.
How do you do a Philly accent? What's
it's
a Philly?
somewhere between a New York and a Baltimore accent. It's a
What's
real weird
What's
accent.
a Baltimore accent?
I don't know. They talk weird.
What?
You never watched The Wire?
Homicide: Life on the Streets.
I don't know.
That's a good one. Andre
I don't
Braugher.
know. Is that Baltimore accent in there?
Kodo.
If I hear somebody speaking in a Baltimore accent, I can pick it up. I just can't do it.
Where do they say John? Is that Philadelphia? Is that Philly?
I'm not sure.
You get
that
like
might be Baltimore.
you go into like a store and you get like a Slim Jim and they call it a Meat John.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, you want some Meat John?
So this event in the 50s and 51 in Cicero was the first time the governor ended up having to call the National Guard it was the first time in Illinois since 1919 Chicago riots. It took 600 police and guardsmen to disperse the crowd that night and another 3 days for the rioting to stop entirely.
I mean, that it seems a little excessive.
Well, I forgot to mention...
I think maybe for like one black family trying to move into a neighborhood, that's a bit kind of overkill. You know what I mean?
I forgot to mention that all-white Cicero was a fucking sundown town.
Oh, I mean, you could have kind of assumed that when the sheriff faced down the black family trying to move in and said, "You better get out of here fast."
The sun's going down. For those of you who don't know what a sundown town is, so these are famous pre-civil rights movement where there were towns that were like registered with the county as sundown towns, and if you were not white, primarily black, but you know they had pretty free license if you weren't white, and you were there past sundown, then
they would kill you.
Yeah, they would frequently kill you or beat you or the whole town would converge to fuck you up.
There's a wide area of horrifying things you can do to somebody when you've agreed as a town,
as a community,
that like our thing is if any people of color are in our town after dark, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah,
to them.
well, you know that's when they do the crimes, so we just have to beat them to the crimes and beat them into the ground.
Yes, then
hang them up from a tree.
Yeah, fucking horrifying. Sundown Town's bad.
So yeah,
there's still some in existence.
Sundown Town is kind of a cool name for a band, though.
No, actually, I'm gonna say that's gonna veto.
I'm saying if without any context,
there had been no
if there was no context,
previous context for a Sundown Town, then yes, it would sound like a really cool indie band, I think, and you'd have like a cool shirt. It'd be like an orange shirt, and it would like a black like a car on the freeway, you know, Sundown Town.
Sundown Town.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cicero was a sundown town. In fact, in the mid '60s, when Martin Luther King and other civil rights leaders were marching in Chicago to protest the de facto segregation of schools and housing, it was still a sundown town.
Yeah.
And it was one of two suburbs that were abandoned by civil rights leaders for marches because they were afraid that the response from the residents would be too violent. Mm-hmm. You've seen like Birmingham Alabama civil rights marches,
Yeah.
right? Selma, Alabama.
Yep. Yeah, the ones where
the guy here in St. Augustine pouring muriatic acid all over black kids in an all-white pool.
Yeah.
Okay, those same people were like, nope, we're not going there.
The Munson Motor Lodge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In those instances, you see people attacked by dogs and blasted with fire hoses, beaten savagely.
And those same people were like, yeah, we're not going to go to Cicero.
Yeah.
So they weren't. So the other neighborhood was Chicago Lawn. They did eventually put a huge group together and do a big march through Chicago Lawn where, people were throwing bricks and bottles and fucking going nuts. Eventually, a splinter group off of that group did go through Cicero, led by Jesse Jackson, of all people.
Well, I mean, Jesse Jackson had a very, very storied history of being a really gallant and chivalrous civil rights.
I wasn't saying anything bad about him. I was just saying that's a
face
we all know.
Cause sort of in what's the ignoble end to his career, working in the Bush administration and shit. Yeah.
Well, I stopped researching what happened when they went to Cicero because this episode isn't called Cicero, Illinois. It's called John Edward Robinson. So John Edward Robinson, like I said, was born in 1943. He is the middle child of 5. His father is a machinist for Western Electric, and he is an abusive alcoholic.
Okay, so hold on. So John Edward Robinson is born in Cicero.
In 43.
Making him a white man.
Yeah.
I would assume. Okay,
yes.
Okay.
He is a very white man.
Yeah.
In typical serial killer fashion. Yeah.
I'm not trying to be in any way stereotypical here, but
I'll say it. They're mostly white.
John Edward Robinson could go either way.
That's true. They're mostly white, and as a Latino man, I'll say second place, Latinos. We got second place on that one.
Nice.
It's not nice. It's terrible.
Congratulations.
So, where's my trophy? Where's my silver medal? God damn it!
I'm not gonna make these jokes. I can't keep making these jokes.
So yeah, his father is an abusive alcoholic, and his mother is a strict disciplinarian. That's about all we know from his parents. From what we know, his childhood was pretty uneventful, I guess, aside from watching a young black family run out of town while the fucking street was set ablaze.
He was only 8. He probably didn't really know what was going on there.
Yeah, I guess. But no, from what we know, he had a normal childhood. He was a Boy Scout. At 13, he entered a 5-year Catholic preparatory school for aspiring priests.
Ooh.
At 13. So I guess he would have gotten into sex crimes regardless.
Ooh. I don't know. Yeah, I was raised Catholic. We've gone over this. Both of us have
both
Catholic
of us
background.
have.
Yeah, it's fun to make fun of the Catholic Church.
I mean, yeah.
All the sex crimes.
I reserve the right forever.
I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. That same year that he entered the school,
You reserve the right forever, Patrick. Did something happen?
Not yet, but
I keep going back.
I still got a few years ahead of me.
I can still fit in the. I can fit in the altar boy robe. I'm still swinging the incense.
I just put my ass out in the confessional booth.
Swinging the incense, so to speak.
Come on, put a finger in there. Come on. Jesus Christ.
Good God.
So the same year that he entered the Catholic preparatory school, he earned his Eagle Scout ranking, and he led a group of 120 scouts onto the stage at the Palladium Theatre in London to perform for Queen Elizabeth.
Well, tight. How old was he when he did this?
13.
He made Eagle Scout at 13?
Yeah, he led a group of 120 scouts.
Yeah. That's not easy. That's a real dedication to that. Because I'm a Boy Scout, so that's a real dedication to the whole thing.
Yeah, at the time, the Chicago Tribune ran an article about Robinson outlining why he had been chosen, and I quote, "Robinson was selected for the honor because of his scholastic ability, scouting experience, and poise. He also has an engaging smile." So this is a pretty huge moment for a 13-year-old in 1957. I mean, think about the difference between being a scout in the 1950s versus now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It was way more of like
or when we grew up even.
It was way more of like a paramilitary group at that time.
And it was a big thing. It was like an all-American,
huge, Yeah.
It's like this, I just see this very like Rockefeller art painting of like,
You're thinking, not Rockefeller,
God damn it. You're right. Rockefeller was a different guy.
Baron
of Installation. Institution.
Copeland. What the fuck is this guy's name?
Rockwell.
Norman Rockwell. God damn it. Son of a bitch.
I just see a very Rockwellian view of like 1950s in general, and then Boy Scout is just extra credit at that point. You know what I mean?
When I was growing up, my grandparents on my father's side had a lot of like 1950s shit still in their basements, and I had like my dad's Boy Scout manual from when he was a kid, and it's very Norman Rockwell, like all the pictures are very
100%.
So you ever watch that movie Moonrise Kingdom, the Wes Anderson flick?
I did not. I haven't seen that one.
Pretty good flick, actually.
I know that it's good, and it's like on my list somewhere.
It's probably my favorite of the Wes Anderson movies. Just on a story basis, it's very human.
Yeah.
But it's cool because he's not usually a very human director.
No, it's everything. Everyone's very robotic.
Yeah,
in his
exactly.
movies.
It was fucking cool. But there's a whole section where Ed Norton plays like a Boy Scout troop leader, and
I can see it in my head.
Yeah, and
I can see the visual.
It is taken directly out of that manual. So I know exactly what you're talking about with that aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, so if that isn't impressive enough for you, I saved this little tidbit to get your jealousy jellicin'.
How was his? I bet he was probably good at tying knots, huh?
I didn't put two and two together, but yeah. That will come into play later in the story.
Yeah, you learn a lot of. I was a Boy Scout. You learn a lot of fucking knots.
Yeah, you do. So this is confirmed. Backstage, after the performance, he met Judy Garland.
Oh.
1957 Judy Garland. Cutie pie.
Cool. Yeah.
Cutie pie.
Gee Willikers.
And it's rumored.
Jiminy Crickets.
It's rumored that she gave him a kiss on the cheek.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say a hand job.
No, Jesus, to a 13-year-old.
I thought you were gonna say it. I'm not demanding that.
So that's about the best we're gonna talk about this porky little fuckbag.
Don't talk about Judy Garland like that. National treasure.
Somewhere. Jesus.
Well, I want to do a Judy Garland now. Hold on.
Oh dear.
I want to do.
She was like cute. She had like a cute little nasally.
Yeah, but I
want
to do old drugged out Judy Garland.
Oh Jesus.
It's a fucking. Hold on. What's a good song? What's a good song from back in the day? Good, I can do this. I can do this.
No.
Just look for a silver lining.
What Judy Garland looked like the woman who played the female lead in the movie Big with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that was Judy Garland.
It was not. But I know the actress's name, but I can't think of it right now. And by the way, that actress looks like Millie Bobby Brown does now, or I guess Millie Bobby Brown looks like her. What?
Nothing.
What?
Nothing. It's just I'm fascinated by how we do this.
Every once in a while, faces just sync up weirdly over generations.
Can't.
Are you looking for the...
Trying to access my phone, the Face ID won't click because there's a microphone in front of it.
Are you looking for the girl from Big?
Yeah.
She was super pretty. I can't think of her name right now, and I know that I know it.
Elizabeth Perkins.
Elizabeth Perkins, that's right. Anyway, so
Jerkins Perkins, they called her.
She looked like Judy Brown. Judy Garland.
Judy Brown.
Judy Brown. Downtown Julie Brown. She looked like Judy Garland. And Millie Bobby Brown looks like both of them. No, I'm just saying my piece there on that. So Robinson only lasts for 1 year at the Quigley Preparatory Seminary. That's that's the name of his little priest school. According to the school's records, he spent a lot more time getting into fights, sitting in detention, and getting shit grades than you'd expect from a rosy-cheeked Boy Scout kid. So he's out of the seminary school in spite of what I'm guessing were probably excellent grades in diddling. Diddling 101, top of my class.
I think actually it would the students would be the receptors of diddlage.
Well, no, they're studying to be priests.
Oh, yeah, but they got it for
they got to get your first 2 years. It's being diddled 101.
Exponents, multiple. You don't learn them all. You got to learn in the order of operations. So diddlage 101.
Well, it's like if you take 4 years of a language in high school, the first 2 years you speak a lot of English in the class. You're learning by your junior and senior year, you pretty much just speak, once you walk in, you just speak Spanish or French or whatever the second you walk into the classroom. So it's the same concept. It's diddling 101. You're being diddled. And then by the end, you're doing all the diddling.
Before you get to even, it's like you got to take debate before you get to take argumentation. So you get diddlage and then AP diddlage. And then diddling 101.
Yeah. You got to learn about the cat before you can dissect it in human A&P.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's out of the preschool, and we kind of lose track of him for a few years, 4 years, until
AP Diddledge is my new AC Slater character. What's up, everybody?
I'm gonna sit on this chair sideways.
Hey, AP, what's going on?
So I'm gonna sit down and put the chair on top of me.
Oh, nothing. Hey, you want to come talk to me in the closet?
Jesus Christ.
That character's not as fun as Tuttle Bottoms. I don't wanna,
Tuttle Bottoms was the
I
best.
miss Tuttle Bottoms.
Cryptids 2? Cryptids 2?
Cryptids 2, yeah.
Was that Cryptids 2 or Cryptids 1?
Cryptids 2.
Was it Cryptids 2?
No.
I love Tuttle Bottoms. Tuttle Bottoms.
Tuttle Bottoms is way better than
I want to make
AP
that show
Diddledge.
so bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, we lose track of him for about 4 years when he enrolls at Cicero Junior College to study to become an X-ray tech. He does not graduate from Cicero Junior College. He drops out after 2 years, which is kind of strange because my understanding is that an X-ray tech license is a 2-year program. And it has been that way for a very long time. So I don't know if he was close to graduating and just said, fuck it, or if he like failed and had to retake some of his courses or what. But he quits after 2 years, right? So the following year, in 1964, he moves to Kansas City, Missouri, where he marries Nancy Jo Lynch. They have 4 children, a son the next year in 65, a daughter in 67, and twins, a boy and a girl, in 71. So at some point after moving to Kansas City in 64, he gets a job at the medical practice of a local doctor, Dr. Wallace Graham. Side note, Wallace Graham was President Harry Truman's personal doctor from 1945 when he entered office until his death in 1972. He was also a highly decorated World War II veteran and a 2-star Major General. He served in the United States Army and Air Force. And when I fucking say decorated, I mean 2 Bronze Stars, a Purple Heart, 3 Army Commendation Medals, which usually means you did some heroic ass shit. What else? A Legion of Merit, which means you displayed like the absolutely most exemplary service, and on top of all that, he's a decorated officer in Allied nations with a Croix de Guerre from France, another Croix de Guerre from Belgium, and an Order of Leopold in Belgium, which is a Belgian National Order of Knighthood. That's Dr. Wallace Graham.
Who was just a physician in Kansas City.
He's got he's got a practice. So at this point, Truman's out of office. He's still Truman's personal, physician.
Does Truman live near Kansas City, Missouri?
I think so. I think he was from around there. I think
And
he
he's
wasn't
just-
Truman a
he's-
Missouri boy.
So this fucking guy's just got like a general practice, and any old dickhead off
He
the
went
street
back. He went back to Kansas City and opened his own practice.
He'd bore people to tears with his tales of fucking letting Truman cough while he cupped his balls. Like,
Yeah, well, Robinson gets a job as a radiology tech with Dr. Graham.
but he's not licensed.
Exactly. If you're thinking, hang on, did he drop out of his X-ray program?
Listen here.
He did. So he just forged the appropriate credentials to get the job.
God damn.
He just fucking forged it.
I mean, back in the day, what kind of? I'm thinking. So, 1967, you said
This is 64.
64. Back in the day, you could just kind of write some stuff on paper and be like, "Hey, look, credentials."
Yeah, but I feel like it's like I understand at the time there weren't as many like stop gaps for like watermarks and all this stuff. But at the same time, I feel like today with the internet, you can get some really official looking documents real easy. How do you get official looking documents in 1964?
You just kind of just draw them.
You doctor them up. You do.
You doctor 'em
you
up.
go
Yeah, no
full
pun
catch me
intended,
if
yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, look
guess
at
so.
the Catch Me If You Can. I always loved that. Like he got like a TWA check logo off of like the side of a TWA model plane.
It was
great,
Pan
yeah.
Am.
Pan Am, yeah.
That was a cool scene with him pulling it
Yeah.
off and putting it on the
Yeah,
little
that's
card.
cool. That's fucking that shit's great.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could laminator and some can-do attitude.
Now we're downloading steaks off the internet. all the fun shit's
You wouldn't
gone.
download a steak. I think that was on a Patreon episode.
We talked about how Werner Herzog had to forge documentation for his entire
To
casting
film.
crew,
Yeah,
so that they weren't killed because they were filming in the middle of a civil
yeah,
war.
I guess. So now you may have noticed me gushing a bit over Dr. Wallace Graham, a war hero who had an absolutely incredible life. And there is a reason for that. And it's because in 1967, Dr. Graham reports Robinson to the Kansas City police after finding out that Robinson had embezzled $33,000 from him in a matter of, 3 years? Max? 3 years? Working for this guy. That's $11,000 a year. Let's call it $1,000 a month just to round up a little bit. I looked to see what that's worth in 2024 money, and it's over $9,000 monthly.
Damn,
is what that would be worth.
That
today.
guy wasn't watching his books.
Imagine making your regular salary, and then on top of that, you're just stealing $9K a month.
I imagine it every night. I imagine it constantly.
So he was doing this by manipulating checks and deposits because he was apparently Dr. Graham's office manager in addition to being his fucking fraudulent x-ray tech.
So what do we know about this character here, John Edward Robinson? Is he charismatic? Is he charming? Is he like a Bundy?
We're gonna find out a lot about him. Trust me. So Robinson is obviously fired. He's arrested. He's charged with stealing by means of deceit. And when he goes to trial, he's found guilty as fuck. Right?
Yeah, did they get him for fraudulently taking pictures of bones?
No, they got him with stealing by means of deceit. So, and I think the jury actually said to him, "Yeah, you're guilty, Your Honor. We find the defendant guilty as fuck."
Your Honor, we would like to add an addendum to the declaration. We find him not only guilty, but guiltier than piss.
Strike that from the record. No, don't strike it from the record. Keep it on the record.
Guiltier N apostrophe and then piss.
Guiltier and piss.
Guiltier and piss.
That boy is guiltier and piss. Fucking incredibly, this dude avoids jail time, and I actually couldn't find anything about whether he was ordered to pay some or all of that $33K back. But as we go through his life and the steps that he makes financially, I'm inclined to think that the answer is no. I think Dr. Graham just had to fucking take the loss on that one. So
he's a president's doctor. Take it on the chin.
Come on. Wounded in World War II, physician to the president for 8 goddamn years, and I got to come back to this fucking fat prick stealing from me?
Should have killed him.
She should have. We did. Listen, we wouldn't be doing an episode if that had happened right here and there.
1964 in Kansas City, Missouri.
You probably could have killed a man.
10,000% chance he could have gotten away with that. He's the
president's $33K from
former president's physician, multi-decorated war veteran. I bet you every fucking officer on the force was a veteran.
He could have fucking popped him in the face in the middle of his office in broad daylight,
right? Like
in the waiting room,
dude. Like in the 60s, every cop that you came across as a fucking veteran, because every single man in the country had to go to fucking war, and when they came back, they all had a massive capacity for violence and a knowledge of firearms. So like that's where you get all these stories of like the fucking LA detectives back in the day were all fucking war vets. Yeah, you know. He could have gotten away with it. He could have done it.
He probably could have.
He could have bayoneted him in the office.
So,
stabbing him, just Nazi, Nazi.
Like I said, he avoids jail time, and he's given 3 years of probation. That's it.
That's not very much.
For the equivalent of $9,000 a month for 3 years. So the following year, he gets a job as a manager at a television rental company, which is a fucking funny sentence. It's the 60s. I get it. People rent televisions, but like,
I mean, yeah, for what, parties? Like,
I guess.
You gotta watch the Jack Benny program.
He gets caught very quickly stealing a bunch of fucking merchandise. So they fire him, but they don't involve the police, so he's never charged with anything. I mean, I've got to imagine that would be a violation of his probation, right? You got caught stealing some shit and charged and convicted, and now you got caught doing it again. So
not very forward thinking.
That's probation. So the next year, so we're in 1969. He's 25 years old, married, 2 kids at this point, right? And he's on probation for embezzling $33K from one job 2 years ago, and was just fired from his most recent job for fucking boosting TVs.
1969, the birth of punk rock.
The summer of love. He's fucking boosting TVs.
1969, okay, by this Iggy and the Stooges.
Maybe
the album Funhouse. You don't know that one? Mm-mm. It's 1969, okay. All
across
the USA.
Yes.
That's what he's listening to in my head in the movie.
While he's loading TVs into the back of a box truck.
In my head, that's what's playing in the background for that little montage sequence.
So in 69, he gets a job as a systems analyst for the Mobil Oil Corporation. How the fuck does he get these jobs? I mean, if you try to get a job as a systems analyst for Mobil Oil today, what kind of credentials do you think you'd need?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I don't know.
More than getting kicked out of fucking Creepy Priest High School and dropping out of community college.
What was the system?
I bet.
What was the system that had to be analyzed
I
back
don't
in the
know.
day? Was
I
it?
have no idea.
I mean, that would be like.
But like I said, his credentials are, I got kicked out of Creepy Priest High School and I dropped out of community
And
college.
I look at bones.
I look at bones. I take pictures of bones.
I take pictures of bones.
I mean, the X-ray job, I just forge some documents real quick. Manager of a TV rental company, I guess that's about the only one you could walk in off the street and like, what is even that? Is that like going to work for Z-Best?
What is even that?
Z-Best?
Yeah, pretty
Aaron's?
much. Yeah. Aaron's, yeah.
Rent-to-own furniture?
Yeah.
Have you ever had rent-to-own furniture?
I have. This is a fun fact you might not know about me. I have consistently been turned down for any sort of loan or like payment plan or anything like that for my entire life.
Really?
Always. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I had
That sucks.
well, first I didn't have credit,
Uh-huh.
right? And then before I moved to New York to do like teaching stuff,
Uh-huh.
I got a phone plan. My first ever phone plan. I was like 18. I was like, yeah, 2-year phone plan, and I bombed it because I was making a stipend in New York and I was starving. So I was like, fuck it, I can't pay for this. And I got a company phone, so I stopped it. Immediately gave me bad credit, and I have never recovered. I have not.
Singular Wireless sunk me.
To fucking put me under, and like, but I've never recovered. There's like, and every time I like check my credit score, like I feel like every time I check it, there's a little bubble that pops up that says, now that you've checked your credit score, it's gonna be worse.
Yeah. No, it depends on how you check it, but yeah.
There's always like, you owe for jewelry that you didn't buy, and I'm like, how much?
What?
They're like, nothing, but it means you've got bad credit. Like, what? It's always a bunch of fucking madness.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, so apparently he never informs Mobil that he's on probation for a theft conviction, which his probation officer fucking knew about and was cool with.
It will be cool, bro.
Yeah. Well, no, his probation officer wrote a memorandum to the Missouri Board of Parole and Probation saying that Robinson does not appear to be an individual who is basically inclined toward criminal activities and is motivated toward achieving middle-class values. That's what he wrote to the probation board. Another officer wrote the board the following year saying that Robinson was responding extremely well to probation supervision and she was encouraging him to advance as far as possible with Mobil Oil. So he's got the probation officers fooled.
Got the world on a plate.
Yeah. 2 weeks after that letter, the last letter, Mobil discovers that Robinson had stolen during the course of his employment there. So we're talking maybe a year, probably not even that. Oh God. What do you think he stole? What do you think he stole, Riley? Hang on. We've got money. We've got TVs. It's neither one of those. Name something you think he stole.
Hold on, I got it. Oil.
It stands to reason, right?
Right.
No, how about 6,200 postage stamps?
Hey, that's legal tender. That's clever.
Yeah, 6 cents a pop at the time.
Yeah, but thousands of them?
That's $372.
Listen, $372.
That's what 6,200 postage stamps at 6 cents a piece were at the time.
How was he stealing these stamps?
I don't know.
Was he stealing them by the sheet? He was
I
just
guess
like,
so.
I mean,
What a stupid fucking caper.
you can turn it in for money.
What
I get
a
it.
dumbass. $370. You got fired in less than a year.
$370. I guess. Maybe his plan was like, I'll keep amassing these.
Oh my God. So he's fucking fired.
Yeah.
He is reported to the police and charged with theft again. So the next month, we're talking late September, early October 1970, presumably before his trial for his big stamp heist, he relocates his family back to Chicago.
Oh yeah, he's still got a family.
Yeah, he's got a wife and 2 kids. So we're going back home, babe.
God damn it, John! You keep getting fucking
Yeah,
for
by the way,
stealing.
you're his wife. What the fuck is your take
We got
on
kids
these?
to feed. I mean, for a while, her take was like, God, he's getting paid great at this doctor's office.
Six years. They've only been married for 6 years. She's been married to this guy.
Yeah, fucking for 3 of those, he was making a shitload of money working as a radiologist.
Then he got fired and charged and convicted for theft.
Bummer.
Then he got a new job. Then he got fired for theft.
God damn it, John.
Then he got another job and he got fired for theft.
God damn it. Stamps this time?
Nancy Joe, it happened again. Pack up the kids. We're going back to Chicago.
I'm gonna go live with mama.
So, so they moved to Chicago. And by the way, he didn't fucking get permission from his probation officer. So that is a very fucking blatant violation of probation.
But wait a second.
You can't move out of your...
He got
You can't move out of state.
But he had 3 years of probation.
In Missouri.
It's been 3 years since that.
It has not.
Hold on a second. When did he... Okay, so he worked for the doctor's office for 3 years, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Then he got...
67 is when he got caught. 69 is when he was convicted. Because
So
the
it's
court...
5.
Yeah,
Okay,
the fucking...
So he'll still have
the
two
case
more,
doesn't happen immediately.
He's got 2 more years
Yeah,
hanging out.
Yeah, so, you got to wait time for the fucking case to go through. And usually there's
criminal
delays and
justice
shit like
system
that. Yeah.
is slower than dicks.
It's a slow-moving wheel, baby.
Yeah.
So, he did not get permission from his probation officer, so violation of probation. He is in Chicago, and he gets a job as an insurance salesman with a company called R.B. Jones.
Arby's, the sandwich place?
Yep. Yeah. He's selling sandwich insurance.
Arby's Jones.
Hey, you coming on as a sandwich insurance guy. Come on. He's selling sandwich insurance. Here at Arby's, we take that shit very, very seriously.
God, I love Arby's.
Gross. We've had this conversation.
Yeah, we have on air. Yeah.
So within the first month of being at R.B. Jones, he starts embezzling money again. And in the 6 months,
this guy.
he's a fucking absolute twat.
What the fuck?
In the 6 months that he works there before he gets caught, he stole another $5,500.
Well, it's better than stamps.
Yeah, I'll say.
When does he start murdering people?
It's coming. So this is why I tend to believe that he didn't have to pay back anything for his previous thievery. In this case in Chicago, he's told that he has to pay the $5,500 back in restitution.
But everybody's always so lenient on him because in court he just he does this thing where he puts his hands together and wiggles his shoulders.
He wears his Boy Scout uniform.
He's what, me? Aw.
I met Judy Garland.
Aw, gee willikers.
And the Queen.
The Queen. Judy Garland gave me a handy backstage.
So how do you think he gets this $5,500?
If I'm fucking stealing it, philandering bullshit,
he does steal it. Technically,
where's he working
steal
that he steals the shit from?
R.B. Jones was the last one.
R.B. Jones. Okay, so that's a lot of sandwiches, especially back in the day.
He gets it from his fucking elderly, drunk, abusive father.
Oh, he borrows it or he steals it?
I don't know. He gets the money from his dad. I think his dad gave it to him.
Oh,
now I don't believe that hitting kids is an effective form of punishment. But at this point in Robinson's life, if his dad had just started savagely fucking beating him, I'm fully on board on that one.
But I don't understand. Did his dad give him the money, or
his dad gave him the money?
So why would he start beating him?
For being a fucking piece of shit con artist, fucking thief.
Yeah, but
I hate a thief more than anything, man. That's just
you know what I hate more than anything? A coward.
Yeah, well,
I really
do.
I fucking hate cowards. But it's just fucking in me. But I feel like if the movie were to end right here, it'd be a good reconciliatory moment between father and son.
I don't think he ever gave his dad anything back, so I don't know if it was a gift or if it was here you can borrow it. But so he pays the restitution and the state drops the charges. And I mean, there's a fucking pattern here that to me indicates
gets hired, steals shit.
Yeah, indicates that a long jail stint might not be a bad thing.
It's coming down the pipe anyway.
I mean, yeah, no shit, right?
Fucking repeat offenders like that.
Yeah,
it's a habitual line stepping.
No shit, no shit. So Robinson and his family moved back to Kansas City, where he's fucking promptly arrested for violating his probation.
Ugh.
Yeah, he only sits in jail for a few weeks before the judge, doesn't give him any jail time. He just extends his probation for another 5 years.
That's a lot more.
So out to 1976.
Jesus.
Is what he gets his probation extended to, right?
Mm.
Insanely, the probation office still thinks that Robinson is on a good track. 2 years after his arrest and the extension of his probation, they wrote a report to the board saying that the prognosis is good in this case.
No, not good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, just psychoanalysis in the criminal justice system in America has been a very, very slow moving process.
Mm-hmm.
But very shortly after this is when like FBI is profiling people.
Yeah,
and they start being like, you know what? Actually, I don't think the prognosis.
Actually, that
is
started in the
good.
late '60s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So we're in '71 right now.
yeah, but I mean, so that's late '60s. So like they're still working on
'70,
that
I think
angle.
'70. We're in '70.
But like,
Yeah.
this is when people are doing the research. That's like, he keeps repeating
Yeah.
the exact same thing despite any outside like warning, stimulus, or,
Yeah.
or
Exactly.
yeah, prognosis not high.
Yeah, he's
so
not
high.
going to stop doing this. Obviously, normal punishment does not work. So,
In fact, if I remember my psychoanalysis properly, he's going to get worse.
yeah,
And eventually, the thrill isn't going to be
Yeah,
enough
well,
for him just with stealing.
we should give that a name.
anymore.
Let's call it escalation.
Escalators.
Elevation?
Escalator repairman.
Elevation. No, that doesn't. Escalation. Escalation.
Escargot.
Scaffolding.
Escanaba into moonlight.
So he has still got the probation board fooled. He's still only gotten a slap on the wrist. Unfortunately, the probation office was unaware that this shitbird was already at it again, right? Like before his trial even. He apparently at some point, Robinson, had gone to his next door neighbor, a retired teacher named Evalie McKnight, with an investment opportunity in a new company he was starting, and she gave him $30,000.
Wow.
She never reported this until way later because she trusted him to return her investment, but apparently she never saw a fucking penny of that money back, which should surprise no one at this fucking point.
Yeah, it's his thing. He likes to steal.
Yeah. So
he's a steely McStealer.
no shit. So obviously Missouri State Probation authorities know nothing about that money that he stole from her, and they think he's doing just great, and they release him from probation 2 years early in 1974. So around the time he's being released from probation, he starts a company for financial and budget consultation to physicians in the Kansas City area called Professional Service Association, Inc. A couple of doctors groups at the University of Kansas Medical School end up hiring him pretty immediately to manage their finances. One of the doctors who hired him was interviewed and later talked about how good of an impression he made. He was clean cut, well dressed, good looking, you know, well spoken, con man shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Turns out it only took a couple of months for them to notice irregularities in their financial records, and he was immediately shit canned.
Yeah.
Nancy Joe!
It happened again. Pack the kids up.
So Robinson said fuck it and just kept going with his company, sending letters out to potential investors, making the company out to be successful and booming.
He's like, who can I con with this?
Yeah, he sent letters saying that a company called Marion Laboratories, that was founded by the owner of the Kansas City Royals at the time, was in the process of negotiating the purchase of Professional Service Association, Inc., which was entirely fucking made up by this fucking gaping twat.
There's also, if you, like, okay, it's called Professional Service
Association, Inc.
Professional Service Association.
The most generic name.
Incorporated.
Yeah.
It's not just generic, it's too many things. Professional Service.
Yeah, it seems like a shell corporation designed for money laundering.
It's the Professional Service Association.
Yeah, if you wanted to set up a shell corp
Incorporated.
for money laundering, that's what you would name it.
It's the Business Association of America Limited Incorporated.
Yeah. So, but hey, good news. The fucking feds are onto him now, and he ends up being indicted by a grand jury on 4 counts of securities and mail fraud.
Yeah, about time.
So in 1976,
Mail fraud has to do with the stamps.
Yeah, no.
It's all been about stamps the whole time.
So in 1976, a federal judge fines him $2,500 and sentences him to 3 years of probation. Now again, just so we're keeping score,
Okay.
in a matter of 6 or 7 years, he's been charged and convicted of 3 separate financial crimes and only gotten probation. He's only sat in a cell for like a few weeks after his probation violation arrest before they extended the probation violation or extended the probation. So he's like, it fucking baffles me. It baffles me. And I don't know if it's just different time or what the fucking scenario was, but like, also he's a con man. Con mans notoriously always just get slaps on the wrist, until they do something just unconscionable.
I don't know how to say this without like, because I don't like to. I'm not a bandwagon jumper so much, you know. But he's just a white man in America in the fucking 70s.
He's a white businessman.
Yeah,
A wealthy white businessman. How'd he get his wealth? Stealing from wealthier people.
And I would love to be like, you know, oh, it's probably something else, but it's probably fucking not.
That definitely plays into it.
Yeah, he's just a white American businessman in the 70s with a wife and 2 kids.
Yeah, change 70s for 2000s, change 70s to 2020s. I mean, yeah,
this is the privilege and the patriarchy thing. That
there's
people
always
talk about.
some clean-shaven, well-dressed, white, fucking, you know, confidence man, good-looking, well-spoken guy who says all the right things and has
this is classic.
And convinces you that he's got the money. He only needs a little bit more money, but then you're going to see that money. You know, that's always happened, and it still happens. So a year later, he moves his family over the state line into Kansas. I'm assuming he fucking asked for permission this time.
I want to say to our listeners here, if there are any of you out there who are like, oh, it doesn't have to be a white guy. Imagine a black person doing this.
Jail
in the fucking 70s.
Jail forever. Prison for the longest time.
It would never. And if you think that, if you would say to yourself, oh, they could probably no difference, you're fucking lying to yourself. No goddamn way.
Yeah. So, like I said, a year later, he moves his family over the state line into Kansas. Right. This is why I don't believe that he's really had to pay much restitution for his previous crimes. He buys a 9-room house on 4 acres in one of the richest counties in U.S. at the time.
Jesus, with stolen money.
Johnson County, Kansas. Right.
Johnson County.
Small Johnson, if this fucker moved there. Sorry to anybody in Johnson County that might have a small Johnson. I'm not picking on you.
Specifically, I apologize to the small Johnson of
the small Johnson community of Johnson County, Kansas.
Small Johnson
My
community.
apologies to you. So this is how fucking... Listen to this part. The spot where the Santa Fe and Oregon trails converge...
Hey, throwback.
In Kansas?
Yeah, we covered that.
Yeah. Those are on the back lot line of his property.
What?
Yeah.
Historical homesteading.
That's the property he moved. 4 acres, 9-room house.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of American value in there.
So, I wonder what made him choose this particular county.
God damn.
I wonder why he moved to this county in particular.
Wait, was it because of that, you think?
Because rich people?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, because he's a
Why would a con man move to the richest county in the U.S.?
Yeah. And he got a 9-bedroom house so he can be like, look, I'm one of you.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it. If I could... if I was smart enough to really like piece it together, I would use the fact that this is the convergence of those iconic American trails that he fucking put himself on to make like some sort of like a euphemism for what colonialism has turned into, like colonialism to con man. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not. It's a little stretchy. I would have to like sit down and ballpark it. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I see where you're going. There's a joke. You could just
There's
do a
a
little
thing
digging
in there. Not even a joke. Just like David Lynch died today, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's like a Lynchian formless sort of like correlation between these things, just like it's a very American.
Yes.
That's
really the thread, the common thread throughout.
Yeah.
It's just American fucking.
Yeah, this is just a very American story,
So
even the places that you're talking about, Chicago, Kansas City. This
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
This is very American shit.
Yeah. So during this time, Johnson is settling right into Mr. fucking suburban nice guy, right? He becomes a scoutmaster, a baseball coach, a fucking Sunday school teacher. This guy's
classic.
teaching Sunday school, right? It's all just
Well, because he took diddlage for those years, so he's like
top of my class.
top of my class, right under the teacher.
You get over here, pull down your pants, boy. It's Jesus. Again, it's all just it's to try and create an image. You know what I mean? Like to steal more shit.
Right.
So he also started another company, Hydro Grow Inc.
Hydro Grow.
He produced
Hydro Grow.
Hydro Grow.
Hydro Grow.
He produced a 64-page booklet called Fun with Home Hobby Hydroponics.
Hydro Grow, Fun with Home Hobby Hydroponics.
Mm-hmm. The intro to which read...
Fun with Home Hobby Hydroponics. Fun with Home Hobby Hydroponics.
The intro of this booklet read... We hope that as you read this book, you will form an acquaintance with John Robinson as a sensitive and stimulating human being. It also portrayed Robinson as, quote, one of the nation's pioneers in indoor home hydroponics and a sought-after lecturer, consultant, and author.
Author.
He's never, I guess, this booklet, 64-page booklet, he authored that. He's never lectured anywhere. He's never, I mean, I guess he's consulted.
God damn.
But he got fucking...
I want to lie about shit and just fucking get away with it.
I can't lie about anything.
I've
I suck at lying.
I've always wanted to start a cult.
Yeah,
You know?
I know that.
I think I could do it, but I wouldn't lie about anything. I just have like wacky, do like, oh man, the energy.
Yeah,
Is all...
it's a healthy cult.
Yeah,
you guys think for yourselves, but like, just listen to this.
Yeah, I don't want a theft cult.
Yeah,
I've told you what my concept of the cult is, right?
Yes,
Yeah, we'll get into it in another episode.
I don't know if I can remember it.
It's good. It's a good one.
Okay, well, so
we'll do one about cults.
We'd have one about cults. We don't have a record date for it, but yeah, maybe we do. We do.
Oh, cool. Well, then when we do that,
I think in March.
When we do that in March,
I think so.
And we do that one, then I'll talk at length about my cult.
Okay. So in 1977, he was,
which I can use the podcast to proliferate. Maybe this is actually where it's gonna. Where maybe we can do
this
it.
Is how you get it.
Yeah.
I don't want any part of it. I know.
Let's bring Brian back on for that one.
Hey, can I run your finances for the cult? I have all the credentials.
No.
Just let me get on my computer real quick, and I've got all the credentials. So in
I'm a highly sought after lecturer and author.
He was named in 1977 to the board of directors of a local charitable organization that worked to employ handicapped people.
Bad idea. Bad news. Bad news bears.
Well, so this is one of the stranger frauds that he committed, right? He forged letters from
he sold handicapped people.
No, he forged letters from the executive director of the organization to the mayor of Kansas City, and then forged more from the mayor of Kansas City to civic leaders in the area, naming him as the organization's Man of the Year, which the Kansas City Times ran an article about this award, and then he proceeded to host an awards luncheon in his honor.
Whoa, that's a fucking hot con.
Yeah, he got caught. He got caught on that one, but I mean, he didn't do anything illegal.
But did he get caught at the luncheon?
No, I don't think so.
It was like, yeah. So
I think everybody was like, did you send me? I didn't send. What? Is this motherfucker just?
John, can I talk to you in my office? I've got a bill here, $2,000 for some sort of luncheon.
Jesus Christ! So yeah, he didn't get in any trouble for that, but he got found out on
because
that
he
one.
fucking clasped his hand. He's like, "Ain't I a stinker?" And they were like, "Oh, John."
He did a little toe dig.
Oh, John.
So now we're in 1980. Fucking hell. So now we're in 1980, right? In addition to running Hydrogrow, which what the fuck is even that? What is he doing with that?
So you say now we're in 1980. I did like a Scorsese like shift into the future. You know, where you got he's like at a disco and wearing a white suit.
Yeah, nice.
Now his con man is a little more cocaine. You know, he's like
exactly. So I don't know what he's doing with Hydrogrow other than probably just running it as a shell corp.
Hydrogrow.
He also took a job.
Hydroponics hobby kit.
He also took a job as the director of. God damn it! Fuck you. Such a dick.
Fun with home hobby hydroponics.
He also took a job as the director of personnel at the Kansas City subsidiary of Borden Inc. You know, the multi-million-dollar fucking food company.
Yeah.
Who apparently doesn't bother to do fucking background checks.
Well, 1980s.
On their management staff?
There's a white man in a white suit.
And it probably wasn't in a white suit.
Snorting white powder.
Did Colonel Sanders show up?
No, I assume that he's doing like a Miami.
This is Kansas fried chicken.
I feel like he's doing a Miami Vice, you know? He's just doing the Don Johnson. He's got the shades and the white suits, driving a Lambo.
Jesus Christ.
Like, listen, I know what you need here.
Fucking oversized jacket.
Let me tell you about this let me tell you about this charity that I ran for the disabled people over there. That was Man of the Year.
So yeah, he gets a job as the director of personnel.
Looks like
with
you
Borden.
got personnel that needs directing.
Do you want to guess what happens here?
He steals from Borden. He runs a goddamn con.
Within a matter of months, he's caught manipulating checks and bank deposits back to Old Trusty, his first one, and diverting funds to the PSA, Professional Services Association, or whatever the fuck. And it is more than $40,000 this time.
God damn.
In a matter of months.
Do you know that skit from the I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson, where the guy is like really confident about his music career, but it turns out he's just had like a shisty agent like feeding him a line of shit.
I don't remember that one.
He says Tim Robinson storms into the office and this guy's at his desk. He's like a grease ball. He's all sweaty, and he's like, "Hey, I want my money back. You said that I was gonna be a hit." And he's like, "I still think we can. We got good motivation on Crimea River or whatever." He's like, "Well, my family says that your family hates you. I'm the only one that believes in you." I think that's the John Edward Robinson.
Yeah,
somebody
probably.
comes in like, "Did you embezzle $40,000?" He's like, "Listen, it's not an embezzlement. It's an investment in the future."
Jesus. So yeah, more than $40,000 this time. By the way, he used part of that money to buy an apartment in the neighboring town of Olathe.
An apartment on top of his
On top of his 9-bedroom house.
A 9-bedroom house for the family, and now he's got a little.
He's got an apartment in Olathe because he was fucking 2 of the female employees at Borden.
Bingo bango.
Also known as personnel directing.
Yeah, you got a smash pad full of cocaine.
I direct you to suck this dick, girl.
Listen,
Christ.
you want to make it at Borden Food Conglomerates.
Nothing says. Oh my God!
They were
the personnel
swayed by
director. The personnel director banging female employees at an apartment he bought with embezzled funds from said company.
Classic. Listen,
it's the American dream, baby.
If you wanna bang your employees, get the Lambo and the white suit. I assume he had these things, which he probably didn't have them. But in my head now, that's who this guy is.
Oh my God, dude. So this dude is obviously a fucking piece of work, right? In spite of the Missouri police knowing what his criminal record has been to this point, they're still treating this guy like a fucking prince, right? The maximum recommended sentence for this crime is only 7 years. And I'm not sure what he was actually sentenced to serve, but I do know how long he actually does serve, and it's 2 months.
Wow.
With 5-year probation on the back end.
You know, he's kind of reminding me of John McAfee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's got
you're
a
not
real
wrong.
McAfee energy about
Yeah.
him.
Well, he gets way worse than McAfee. So it's around this time that Nancy Jo finally begins divorce proceedings.
Yeah, she's had enough.
Yeah, but she's married to a fucking con man.
Oh, yeah.
So he convinces her to go to counseling and drop the divorce.
Mm.
I'll change this time, Nancy Jo.
She was so close.
So here's where we start to see a shift in his behavior, right? He's been caught, arrested, convicted how many times at this point in the last 13 years?
A lot. Five times.
Yeah, at least. He's gone largely unpunished. I mean, these are amounts of money that I don't think you could steal in 2025, even without doing the conversion. The actual amounts that he stole: $30,000, $5,500, $40,000.
Right. And at 1980, now he's like 37.
In 19 is
Because he was born in 43.
He was born in
right?
43. Yeah.
So he's 37. So he's my age now. You know, he's like,
Yeah.
this is a man.
Jesus. Yeah. He's not a kid.
Yeah.
So you couldn't steal those amounts now without doing serious fucking time, especially considering the number. You know,
Yeah.
the background of how many times he's done this, right? So there's a clear pattern of this shit, and you go work
I love that he gets caught every time.
This is the pattern, right? Go work someplace, steal as much as you can before you get caught, and it's got to be brazen, right? $40K in 6 months. You're not playing the long game at that point.
Yeah.
You're smash and grab as fast as you can,
That's what that
as
is,
quickly
yeah.
as you can, and before you get caught.
Wow.
So
It's gotta be an addiction to like the thrill, you know?
I guess so, man. So Robinson comes back after his 2-month stint in jail, and he sort of brushes it off to the neighbors as a misunderstanding between Hydrogrow and the law. And so his community still largely thinks he's a smart, successful, hardworking, philanthropic fucking neighbor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick ad break, guys. This episode brought to you by
Hydrogrow.
Do you want hobbies with home hydroponics?
Home hobby hydroponics.
Call John Edward Robinson.
Home hobby.
He's got you. I hope you'll take this time.
Home hobby hydroponics.
I hope you'll take this time to form an acquaintance with him.
Hydrogrow. Home hobby hydroponics.
So, guess what he does now?
Steals shit.
Pretty soon. Don't worry. But first, in addition to PSA and Hydrogrow, he starts another company.
Hold on a second. Hydrogrow.
Fucking shut up.
Okay.
He starts a company called EquiPlus, which supposedly
Not as catchy.
supposedly offered management consulting services. So one of his first customers, a company called Backcare, hires him to develop their marketing plan for it.
Company's called Bat Care?
Backcare.
Okay, all right, fine.
They care for backs. They start getting immediately like super inflated invoices from EquiPlus, and they call the Johnson County DA, who flags him and starts an investigation. And so Robinson goes to his lawyer, and the lawyer says, well, just go talk to some people in that company, get sworn affidavits from them attesting to the accuracy of the invoices. It doesn't matter if it's from everybody, just get somebody to say, yeah, that looks pretty accurate, and get a sworn affidavit, right? Robinson goes, oh, yeah, that's a good idea, and proceeds to fucking forge a bunch of sworn affidavits.
God damn.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't be stopped.
He's just fully fucking unfazed by, like this. The county is investigating him, and he's fucking unfazed. So much so, hang on. So much so that he starts another company.
Jesus Christ.
Equi2.
No shit.
Yeah.
The company that's under investigation, he just starts another one, adds
as
two?
an umbrella corps to absorb EquiPlus so that he can run his business and philanthropic ventures through that.
Okay, so I mentioned that I was into like psychological analysis. This is I mean,
batshit crazy.
Well, no, it's not batshit crazy. It's
crazy.
It is very specifically like blanket narcissism.
Oh, for sure.
Like this is
Sure.
I'm
better.
I'm smarter. I deserve your money more than you do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
100%.
I will come out on top because I'm the superior person. This is obvious.
And so what if I get caught? You guys
narcissism,
never do anything to me. I'll just do it again.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Narcissistic manipulation across the board. Yeah,
I'm not killing anybody. I'm not doing anything bad. You guys won't do anything to me.
Yeah.
Not killing anybody yet.
The fact that he's been able to get away with it again and again and again is just reinforcing this this delusion of himself.
Yeah.
Well, self-image with the Lambo and the white suit and the cocaine, banging
and the hydroponics
in his hydroponics. Banging hot babes out in a smash pad above in Olathe, fucking Nowheresville, Kansas or whatever.
Olathe, Kansas. Yeah, it's gonna come heavily into play in the future.
He's gonna come heavily into play.
By the way, now we're in the second part of the episode, and it's gonna get dark. We're still going to make jokes, but it's going to get dark.
Okay, it was a lot of fun. I'm going to miss it.
So, yeah, right. I told you it was a good episode.
Yeah, it was fun.
So he, like I said, starts Equi2 to absorb EquiPlus and run his business and philanthropic ventures through that, right?
This is like in Scarface when they do the fucking push it to the limit, and he's like getting married and he's like buying a tiger.
Yeah.
And they're doing the montage. That's what all of that shit
Trying
was.
to spend all of his coke money.
Yeah, exactly.
So he decides that it's time to hire some people to work for him, right? He's been doing all the heavy lifting here. Time to get some people to work for me.
Hell yeah.
For Equi2, right? So one of these people is Paula Godfrey.
Mm-hmm.
Paula is a 19-year-old honor student who had just graduated high school the year before, in 1983, right? We're in 1984 now. Right? She was interested in pursuing a career in business. So Johnson tells her that he wants to hire her.
It's a business for her.
Robinson. Robinson tells her that he wants to hire her as a sales rep, and he's going to pay for her to get some classes done for clerical work. And as a matter of fact, super swell guy that I am, I've got a group of young women that I'm flying out to San Antonio for some classes, and I want you, Paula, to join them, and it's all on my dime, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he tells her. On September 1st, 1981, he picks her up from her parents' house, and they head out. After a few days pass, her parents are like, well, why haven't we heard from her? Like, she's just going to San Antonio, right?
Right, yeah, no big deal.
On a plane. She should have called us or something. So after a few days pass, her parents are, concerned, and they try to contact her. They don't have a way to contact her. They just are like, where the fuck's our daughter? Mm. So they go to the police department, and they file a missing persons report. Obviously, the police find and question Robinson because obviously her parents said this is the last guy that picked her up to go take her. Police go question Robinson, the last person she was ever with, and he says he has no fucking idea where she is. A few days after that, her parents receive a typewritten letter signed by Paula saying that she's okay, but she doesn't want to see them again.
Ooh.
A little fishy, right?
Yeah.
Typewritten letter. It is signed by her, right? So the note, this is the unfortunate part. The note looked legitimate, and it was her signature, and Paul is a legal adult. So there's not, and she's in a different jurisdiction. She's in a different state.
Yeah, so nobody's going to pursue
There's
that.
not really a lot the police can do. So they suspend the search for Paula, and she is never seen again, alive or dead. They've never found a body or the remains of a body on her.
Jesus.
Right. Within 3 months of this happening, Robinson is at Truman Medical Center in Kansas City, which at the time was the #1 public hospital in the city. So that's where people with medical needs and limited resources end up, right?
Well, yeah, as you do.
Right. So it's the #1 public hospital.
No.
Robinson's there to talk to social workers from an organization called Birthright.
Birthright.
Birthright. You see, Robinson and some other businessmen in the area have started a new philanthropic organization they call Kansas City Outreach, where they assist unwed mothers and their babies by providing housing and job training and even babysitting.
Ooh.
So under the entirely fucking falsified pretenses that his organization was going to be receiving funding from companies like Xerox and IBM, Robinson asks Birthright to send him some candidates that they think could benefit from his program.
Ooh.
Yeah. Fucking Jesus.
At this point in the movie, when you introduce like the unwed mothers and their kids, that's what everyone goes, oh no,
Yeah.
no.
Well, so a month later, Truman Medical Center puts Robin in touch with 19-year-old Lisa Stasi. Lisa and her husband are recently separated, and she's just given birth to a little girl she named Tiffany. So Robinson reaches out to Lisa and tells her his name is John Osborne, and he's got a block of apartments rented that he's going to put her and baby Tiffany up in. And he's also got resources to help her get her GED and get some on-the-job training, and she can get a career, not only in Kansas City, but also in Chicago and Denver. He's going to send her around for on-the-job training, right? So he goes and picks her up and brings her not to a block of apartments. He brings her to a roadway inn. A couple of days later, he shows up, tells her that he's arranged for her and Tiffany to travel to Chicago in a couple of days, where he's arranged a job and stable living situation for her. But because she was going to be so busy when she got there, he needed her to sign 4 sheets of blank stationery and give him her relatives' addresses so that he could inform them how to get in touch with her once she's settled in Chicago. Starting to see where that sign,
That's an
Paula
immediate,
Gottfried's
that's
signs.
an immediate. What do they call that? The MO.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
and a big red flag.
Yeah.
Sign these blank pieces of paper
Oof.
in a time with typewriters.
Yeah, sign these blank pieces of paper so that I can send your "don't fucking contact me" letter to your parents when they come looking for your fucking corpse.
Yeah, right. Immediately that letter from Paula Gottfried,
Yeah.
it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, you're going to be too busy. Just sign these blank sheets of paper and I'll send it, once you get settled in, I'll let them know where to contact you. So give me their addresses, sign these papers, and let's get you on a plane in 2 days, right? So, unbeknownst to Robinson, Lisa Stasi leaves the roadway inn later that day to go see her family members and, tell them the news, give them a fucking proper goodbye, let them know what's going on. So for the rest of that day and the next day, she was at her sister-in-law's house with her family, by the way, trying to convince her not to go.
Yeah, don't do this. This is insane.
Well, they had a lot of questions about who John Osborne is and where exactly she would be. And, she's a 19-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Like, she's being conned, and she's got limited answers to who John Robinson is because he's given her limited information. So they're asking her questions, and she's like, well, I'm not sure. And they're going, "What?
I don't know, some guy."
Then don't go. And she's like, oh, no, he's really nice. So that next day, Robinson shows up at the sister-in-law's house, visibly agitated that she had left, and insisting that they go back immediately. Right? He's like, why'd you leave the hotel? We got to go. We got to go back. So Lisa and Tiffany get back into the car with him. By the way, leaving her car and most of her belongings behind at her sister-in-law's house, and they leave. So Lisa's sister-in-law, Kathy Klingensmith, has a bad feeling about John Osborne.
Right.
She's like immediately like, I don't know.
Yeah, because I just looked at some pictures of him. He looks like a fucking creep, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only did Lisa have almost no information about the guy, but when he showed up to her house and she met him, she felt uneasy about him. So the next day, she called the roadway inn to have another conversation with Lisa, only to be told that room 131 had already checked out and that the room was paid for by a John Robinson, not a John Osborne, with an Equi2 corporate card.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm realizing now that I haven't laid the dates out as well as I should. So just to quick circle back. The incident involving Paula Godfrey was early September 84. Robinson was in touch with Stasi, Lisa Stasi, early January 85, 4 months later. Specifically, the day he showed up and said, "You're leaving for Chicago in 2 days," was January 8th of 85. That day and the next was when she was at Kathy Klingensmith's house. And that evening of January 9th was when Robinson picked her up, right? He showed up on the 8th. You're leaving in 2 days. She went that day, the next day. That evening, he's at Kathy's house and says, "Come on, let's go." We leave Kathy's. On January 10th, John Robinson's brother and sister-in-law are coming into town. Don and Helen Robinson, flying in from Chicago, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was Don and Helen have been trying to adopt a baby and haven't been having a lot of luck.
Oh, no.
And John, he's got all these connections in Kansas
Got all these
City.
babies.
He's got all these connections. He's part of a lot of philanthropic groups, and he thinks he can help.
Oh, God.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, he knows of a little baby girl whose unwed teen mother just killed herself. And so they should come to beautiful Kansas in the wintertime, fucking beauty that it is, and bring home a sweet baby girl. So the morning of the 10th, John Robinson picks up his brother Don and Helen, Don and John, Jesus Christ, picks up Don and Helen from the airport, drives them to the offices of Equi2, has them fill out some very official looking but totally fucking forged adoption papers. Pay him $5,500 for the adoption fee.
$5,500, huh?
Mm-hmm. And so, by the way, if he didn't steal the money, the $55 from his dad before, he definitely stole $5,500 from his fucking brother with your forged adoption. And here are the fees. Fees are $5,500. Just give that to me. I'll pay him for you. Come on. So, and then they drive to his house where Nancy Joe is waiting there with a beautiful, healthy baby girl who they named Heather Robinson and who was sadly too fucking young to know that she was already named Tiffany Stasi.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Fucking piece of absolute fucking garbage, dude. I would love to curb stomp this motherfucker.
Well, he's, hey, what are you going to do?
Break into the prison where he's still alive and sitting.
Prison sucks. Hey, we've been in prison for a while.
Prison break the other way around.
Breaking into
where
that's
I
actually kind
beat an old man to death.
I kind of like that idea of like breaking into jail to kill somebody.
That was the whole. Wasn't that the whole premise of the show Prison Break?
I assumed that the show Prison Break was about breaking out of jail. I didn't watch even 10 minutes of it.
I never did
Though I
either.
hear that the pilot episode is phenomenal.
I never did either, but my understanding of the show is that the one brother is in prison. I don't know if he's supposed to be or not.
Two brothers.
And the other brother breaks into the prison.
One's in prison. The other breaks in.
He breaks in to break his brother out.
Little does he know when he breaks in.
Double prison. So it should have been called double prison. I have to break into prison to break you out?
Should have been called Prison Breaks.
Mm-hmm. So.
I literally have never watched any of it, but there's something about the first, like the pilot episode is supposed to be like one of the most like perfect episodes of television or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The whenever
it
like
comes up in my nerd circles.
Whenever it pops up on like on Netflix, like where you see the at the top of the screen, the poster, the image, whatever you want to call it for it, is so homoerotic looking that I'm like, this isn't for me.
You're probably just looking at the wrong thing.
I'm not a target audience. I'm looking at the guy, the kid with the shaved head and the dreamy eyes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's homoerotic. It's just a person being there. Maybe you're just.
Maybe there's something about those eyes.
I hear that the first episode of Prison Break is like this perfect, like the best episode of television ever. But I know that's not true because I know that the best episode of television ever is the pilot episode of The West Wing. Everyone knows that.
Never seen it.
Fucking missing out.
I know you've said it before. You'll say it again.
Will you not love America?
So the next day, January 10th. Or I'm sorry, January 10th was when they got there and got the baby girl. January 11th, Don and Helen fly back to Chicago with their bouncing baby girl. And John Robinson, by the way, dude, how fucking terrible to think that you adopted this child by, totally legitimate means from your brother. Your brother helped you out, right? Mm-hmm. Then you find out down the road that your brother is a serial murderer who we'll get to this part, but probably killed Lisa Stasi and took her baby. And by the way, as the girl who was a fucking adult by the time this all came out, to find out that, like, dude, you just wrecked so many fucking people.
There's like a series of books, like young adult books from the 90s called The Face on the Milk Carton. Do you ever come across those?
No, I don't think so.
And it's about like a girl who fucking sees her face on like as a baby on a like missing on the side of a milk carton.
Jesus.
And yeah, it's a very similar kind of a concept there.
Well, anyway, the following day, Don and Ellen fly back to Chicago, and John Robinson goes to work where he has
score cheap baby.
Yeah, right. Where he has an unexpected visitor, Kathy's husband, David, Kathy Klingensmith, right, the sister-in-law. Her husband, David, shows up to the offices of Equi 2 and confronts Robinson, demanding to know where Lisa and Tiffany are. Robinson ends up having David forcibly removed by security. Fortunately, while he's doing this, Kathy is on her way to the police department to report Lisa and Tiffany missing.
Man, I mean, I really don't like doing the man, if it was me, but I feel like in that situation, there's some fucking violence that happens in that. Like, where's my sister? Like,
yeah, I mean,
what is going on?
Right.
Where is my sister and my niece?
I don't know, but so a lot of things converge at this point, right? So I got to broad stroke it for time purposes.
If I was there, I would have kicked his ass.
I mean, probably. Have you looked at him?
You ever hear about Mark Wahlberg's statement about 9/11?
Jesus, no, I have not heard what Mark Wahlberg said about 9/11.
Well, Mark Wahlberg,
Mac Wahlberg
said that like, if I was on that plane, things would have gone down a little different.
Which one? Which plane?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's just. I'm just saying. If I'd been there, it would have been a different situation.
I guess so.
That's how I feel about
the world may never know.
John Edward Robinson's office that day. You're gonna have me forcibly removed by security. How much security you got, Chief? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I got a box cutter.
So, like I said, a lot of things converge at this point, and I'm gonna broad stroke it because this episode's already gonna run long. So, for starters, the Birthright organization figures out that this dude is full of shit, right?
Yeah, bad man.
The head of the organization, Ann Smith, starts to suspect he's not, what he says he is. Thank fucking Christ, she does her due diligence. And she made some calls to check his references, who were like, he said, what? No, we're not involved with that dude. Like, because he had said that he was like on the board of some church.
Right.
They were like, oh, yeah.
He's professor of diddlage.
Yeah, they were like, he's part of the church. He's not on the fucking board. He said that he was on the board of some bank. And the bank was like, we don't even know who the fuck that is.
He doesn't even bank here.
Yeah, we don't even know who that guy is. So she's like, all right. So she then makes a call to the Missouri Board of Probation and Parole and talks to Stephen Hames, who is a probation officer there.
Is that Haynes or
Haim? Haymes. He doesn't have a record of Robinson because it's the 80s and Robinson was on probation in Kansas. Right? But again, thank fucking Christ, he does his due diligence and tracks down Robinson's files in Kansas. And he sees very fucking obviously a man with a history of stealing people's money and who's now connected with the disappearances of 2 19-year-old women and an infant, because people in law enforcement here have at least put 2 and 2 together insofar as saying, hey, 2 disappearances in 3 months of young women who were with this guy right before they went missing? That's weird, right? So
worth looking into, I would say.
Right. Well, and again, Paula Godfrey wasn't enough to investigate, and they aren't really finding anything suspicious enough to investigate Lisa Stasi's disappearance either. But still, Stephen Hames, wants to talk to Robinson, and this is still in January of 85. So this is the same month that Stasi went missing.
Right.
Late January. He has Robinson come into his probation office and asks him some questions, and between his record and his demeanor and the way that he dresses and everything, Haynes immediately clocks him as a fucking con artist.
Yeah.
Immediately. So still there aren't.
You get a sense about. I mean, fucking, you have a sense about people like that.
Yeah,
We
well,
have sense.
yeah.
Like, if
And when you
s-
work in criminal justice,
Yeah.
you 100%.
yeah, I mean, I've always
Especially
trusted-
with that guy's file in front of you.
Yeah, I've always trusted my instincts with shit
Yeah.
like that. But like, yeah, fucking, you could.
If you had that file in front of you, you would already have a suspicion. And then once you see him and start talking to him, you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
There's no way.
Yeah. So still, there aren't any charges or anything. So he just talks to him. Robinson does sell himself out at one point when he mentions helping women from Birthright and Truman Medical Center, right? Because Hames got called by the head of Birthright. So Hames checks in with Truman Medical Center, and they say that the women that they've sent his way are doing well, with the exception of Lisa Stasi, who's missing.
Who is dead? Who he killed?
But yeah, but apparently there were some other women who, because he had like this block of apartments. So there were women that he was keeping.
Actually did have the apartments. There were women that he was actually putting.
He was
in the
actually
apartments.
helping some women that apparently were
Dude,
doing.
this guy's like
well.
fucking H.H. Holmes, the
It's
murder,
weird.
the murder
Yeah,
hotel,
yeah, the hotel.
in Chicago.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. So by the way, there were also 2 signed letters to Lisa's family after she went missing that showed up in the mail, right? But the problem is, one, Lisa doesn't know how to type, so that's suspicious. Remember, back then typing was like a skill.
No, 1980 something. You could have. Everyone had a typewriter.
Maybe. But
Remember,
Lisa,
back then, nobody knew anything about
Lisa's
fancy typewriters.
Lisa is a 19-year-old, already married and divorced, new mother who doesn't know how to type. You know, so
Oh, maybe if she'd learned how to type.
for what it's worth, Don would have never left me. We're not gonna make fun of Lisa Stasi.
No, yeah, okay, delete that. delete the jokes.
No, listen, we're not gonna delete the joke, but we're not making fun of this woman. So 1, she doesn't know how to type. 2, they know about the blank sheets of stationery she signed because when she came to visit them, she told them about it.
Yeah,
When she left the hotel to visit.
I thought it was weird, but
This is part of why I think he was pissed that she left.
because she could poke a couple holes in the story.
Because
before.
if I tell you what's going on and I have you sign this stationery and I fucking kill you, then your parents are going, and then the thing, you know, the note, the letters might be suspicious, but whatever. You went over there and you were telling them about, oh yeah, I'm leaving on this day, I'm doing this. Yeah, he had me sign some stationery. I don't know what like. So now they know shit.
Do you think that he was stocking up those apartments for like just victims, just to have more, like just kind of like on the back burner for
I don't
if
know.
you got a little boned up,
Probably.
boned up for murder?
Probably. I mean, honestly.
That's what I'd do.
So yeah, that's I think why he was pissed that she left that day. So Hames, who realizes that, you know, we've got a fucking pathological con man who's crossing state lines. And because Kansas City sits on this, I don't think we've mentioned this yet in this episode, but Kansas City sits on the Missouri-Kansas state line. So you can be in Kansas City in Missouri, and you can be in Kansas City in Kansas.
Yeah.
So you've got this manipulative fucking pathological con man crossing state lines and 2 women and a baby missing inside of 3 months. So he contacts the fucking feds. The FBI assigns 2 officers.
Hold on a second. Say that 2 rogue agents
No.
that have been taken off too many cases, and like, why don't you handle this one?
Yeah. No, the FBI assigns 2 officers to start an inquiry. And by the way, during this part of the investigation, Robinson first told Holmes that Lisa Stasi had run away to Colorado with a man named Bill. And so that was before the FBI got involved. When the FBI gets involved, they question a woman who reported to the police that Stasi was fine and she's still in the Kansas City area. And I know that because I just recently babysat Tiffany. So the FBI goes there to question this woman. And, you know, she's like, yeah, she dropped her off to babysit, whatever. As they start getting more intense in their questioning, she admits that she lied at Robinson's instruction because she owed Robinson money.
Damn.
More on that in a sec, right? I mentioned before that a lot of things converge at this point, right? One is that the Johnson County DA is putting together a pretty fucking solid case.
This is a movie.
It really is. This is what's crazy is that nobody knows who this guy is. So one is that this guy, the Johnson County DA is putting together like a solid case against Equi 2 for defrauding back care.
Johnson
Right?
County.
The other one is that I keep calling him Johnson because I'm looking at John Robinson. The other thing is that John Robinson is organizing a little side hustle, and that side hustle is organizing a prostitution ring for clients interested in paying for BDSM encounters.
Ooh, now the apartments are starting to make more sense. Okay.
Yeah. Why did that woman? Why did that woman lie about babysitting Tiffany? She owed Robinson money. Why did she owe him money? Because she was a prostitute who fucking worked for him.
Oh.
So he's a fucking pimp now.
Damn. There's the tangled web we weave.
Yeah. He also threatened her with. He had nude photos of her that he threatened her with too. So now one of the women who was a prostitute for Robinson is 21-year-old Teresa Williams. She's got a job on April 30th of 1985. She is employed in Robinson's prostitution ring in exchange for him paying for her apartment, paying for her expenses, her prostitution fees. I don't know what that is. I guess if you get arrested.
What? No, if you get paid for being a prostitute.
Her fees for being a prostitute. Okay, yeah. I all right, that makes more sense.
I mean, it is 15 for an HJ, 25 for a BJ, 50 for a ZJ.
Oh boy, I like that. That's a good one. That's a Beer Fest quote. He's also
ZJ. If you have to ask,
you can't afford it. If he's also going to
back the fuck up, Antonio. Sorry,
it's my dick. Got a lot of hot guys in here. What does he say? Got a lot of hot dick in here or something? Yes. Back the fuck up, Antonio. It's my dick. Oh, Jesus.
I miss you. That's a different part of the movie. But
I love you. Does he say, I love you or I miss you?
I miss you.
I miss you.
I miss you. Producer Drew, have you seen Beer Fest?
A while.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't play Pong. So yeah, he's going to pay for her apartment, her expenses, her prostitution fees, and he's also, sweet benefactor that he is, going to supply her with free weed and meth.
Oh, fucking score.
And yeah.
Weed and meth?
I think.
One to bring you up, one to bring you down.
I think at this point, because I've had a second to digest it, I am wondering if he was getting at-risk girls from Truman Medical Center, putting them up, and then turning them out to be fucking prostitutes.
What do you mean now that you've had a minute to digest it? That's laid out. That's like George R.R. Martin wrote that shit. It's fucking flat on the page.
Those are the girls he's bringing in for the outreach program.
Get the girls, single mothers that are desperate for money, right? Set them up in apartments that they don't have to pay for, that they can't pay for. But once they're in that living situation, then you start charging them for shit.
Well, he's already saying he's going to give them a job and free room and board.
Now
and
you're the benefactor.
Technically, I've fulfilled those obligations, right? You've got a job and a room and board.
He's the benefactor. He's giving them drugs. He's probably having sex with them, and then he's turning them out. Yeah. And then occasionally murdering them.
Well, yeah. So in exchange for all this, she has to have sex with him and whomever else
of course.
Is paying to specifically have BDSM sex with her, right? So
is it specifically BDSM stuff?
Yes, this is a BDSM sex ring specifically.
For those not familiar with the BDSM. Let's just say the BDSM term, not the community. Community is a different thing because there's a consensual BDSM community.
I'm down for whatever people want to do.
BDSM
consensually,
is, bondage and sadomasochism.
Yeah, bondage, domination, sadomasochism.
Spanking, pegging.
Listen, if two people are on board with it, go nuts, man. I don't give a shit.
Clamping.
I don't give a shit. But so on this particular night,
honking, a whipping,
sliming. Cranking
hard.
So on this particular night, like I said, April 30th of 85, Robinson gives her $1,200, a new dress, and instructions to get into a limo across from the apartment, where she's blindfolded and driven to a house where a man in his 60s brings her in. Nice house, distinguished-looking 60-something-year-old man, brings her in down to a basement that was outfitted as a dungeon. Mm-hmm. He asks her to undress, probably tells her to undress, and get onto a makeshift rack where he starts to slowly stretch her on like a medieval rack.
Oh shit!
Which, if it was me, I'd be like, okay, oh, that's perfect, right there.
Wait,
Yes,
my back.
Yeah, that's
Click.
perfect. But I guess
Like Mr. Incredible.
if you keep cranking past that, then I guess what happens is what happened to her. She eventually starts screaming and demanding to be let go. So,
well, yeah.
if you are a paying client for a BDSM prostitute and she does that, right, and she starts screaming and saying, "Let me go," then
you let her go is what you
yeah.
do.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends. It's obviously fetishism is as wide as the day is long. But I mean, I would imagine that if I don't know. Either way, he let her go.
He did
let her go. So apparently, that turned him off. This particular guy was turned off by
that kind of community. There are a lot of like.
He wanted her to be like, "Ooh, stretch me, daddy."
Yeah, things are different now than they were in like the 80s. The 80s would have been weird because remember we were talking about in a different episode about how a lot of like sexual communities really could only communicate with fucking magazines and shit.
Yeah.
So like. A lot of the people that were like interested in having, sadomasochistic sex would literally only know about it through literature.
Yeah.
So if they're exploring it, they might have their own experiences, but there's not like a network of safe words and, lines that you can put down and cross. So,
well, either way, this guy, fortunately,
I want my money back.
He lets her go. He has her blindfolded again, brought back to the limo, and returned to the apartment. That pissed Robinson off pretty bad, and he demanded the $1,200 back. But what pissed him off even more was not long after that, he finds out that she is seeing someone. Let's call it out of network. Pimps don't really like that.
Yeah.
What would your pimp name be if you were a pimp?
My pimp name? Mm-hmm. It would be Mr. Riley Bowen. That's because I would run a consensual brothel.
I would be something cool like Platinum Patrick.
I've never had any like.
Shut the fuck up, ho!
even as a kid,
I ain't tell you to speak.
In the 90s and the early 2000s, when everyone was like everything's pimping, everybody was pimps and hoes was like the whole thing. Pimps and hoe balls were a thing. What the fuck that was?
Big pimping.
Yeah, fucking pimp juice. I don't know what the fuck the whole concept.
Pimp juice.
The whole concept pissed me off. I was like, "What is this? These are enslavers of women. These are terrible people." I hate that as much as I hate. It was
people that wanted to buy platinum shoes with goldfish in the bottoms.
And the style's always terrible. You want a velvet jumpsuit? Get the fuck out of here. But like. That should always piss me off the same way that people dressing as pirates piss me off. It's like, these are the scum of the earth. I'm not going to fucking idolize them.
I haven't thought about pimping hoe balls for a long time, but you're right. That was a weird
fucking
thing.
Weird time, right?
That was a very weird thing.
And then, like, the people that would go to the pimp and hoe balls would wear, like, wife beaters and shit. Like, they wouldn't even, like, they'd wear a chain and a wife beater and jeans and be like, I'm a pimp.
Yeah.
It was fucking...
By the way, if you guys hear a wayward chuckle, that's because producer Drew just came into the studio a little bit ago. So he's not going to mic up, but he's going to hang out and chuckle at us.
My pimp name.
It's better than rain on the tin roof.
My pimp name would be Mr. Pimp.
Don't you back talk, Mr. Pimp.
And I'd be like, what's the trouble, girls? You didn't make very much tonight. I think that we can improve our productivity if we cut some corners on.
So
how about this? We'll be setting you up in slightly cheaper hotels for the next couple of weeks until you make a better income. Clientele might not be exactly what we're looking for, but we got to make up for our losses.
I'll drop your quota, but your quota will be this much, and you will be in less fashionable digs until you can meet that quota on a regular basis, and then we'll bump it back up and get you back to your old apartment.
Right.
Off you go.
I'll see you on Wednesday, and
and I expect my money, bitch.
We're gonna need to fill out an I-9.
All right, so he finds out that she is seeing someone, like I said, out of network. Somebody's shucking his corn without paying for it, and he lets himself into his apartment with his set of keys, where she is still sleeping. He barges into her room, grabs her by the fucking hair, pulls him over his lap, and starts spanking her, saying fucking shit like, "You've been a very bad girl and you need to learn a lesson," which, gross.
That sounds like the fucking like magazine BDSM. That's like fucking that guy knows about this shit from reading fucking literotica.
If there is here's the thing, like I'm not like super into BDSM shit, but like if someone wants to play a little thing and I know that everybody's into it, he just barged into a terrified fucking sleeping girl's home, grabbed her by the fucking hair and starts spanking her, saying creepy shit like this.
Yeah.
That's different. That's real different.
It's interesting. This is coming right on this episode is coming on the heels of the revelations about famed author Neil Gaiman and his penchant for
I have not heard about
for
that.
non-consensual BDSM play.
I had not heard about that.
It's pretty gross. You read the Vulture
well,
article.
now you've ruined Neil for me.
It's unfortunate, yeah.
We do that on this show.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But what did we talk about the other day?
Thanks, everybody. This is Ruin Everything podcast.
What did we talk about on our last episode? Kill your darlings. You know, you fucking
Yeah.
you gotta see the whole perspective on
That's
everything.
true.
But yeah, Neil Gaiman apparently read the Vulture article. It gets very graphic.
God.
It's pretty intense.
I need a break after this episode, but so he then throws her down onto the floor, and he pulls out a fucking revolver.
Like you do.
Yeah,
Pimps don't play.
She's obviously
in his white suit with the fucking. He's probably high on coke. He just drove his Lambo there.
high on coke, I'd believe. Lambo and fucking, in this fucking Olathe,
I've created
Kansas.
kind of a legend for this character.
He
He's
really has.
probably just wearing a business like a suit or a sweater.
Probably drove there in an 82 Corolla.
Yeah, it's like 1980 something. Like he's like.
It's 85.
Yeah, exactly. Wife beater, white jacket, gold chain,
Mm-hmm.
hair slicked back.
Yeah. So he throws her on the ground, pulls a fucking revolver out, and like I said, she's fucking freaking out, obviously, while this is going on. And he yells, "If you don't shut up, I'll blow your brains out." Probably some expletives in there too, but that's that's what I got. He then puts the gun to her head and pulls the trigger.
Goddamn.
There is no round in the chamber.
Ooh. That's dramatic.
He then pushes her down and puts the barrel of the revolver inside of her.
Ooh.
He's got a gun in her vagina, and he says, "I bet you've never had a blowout," which isn't even fucking smart or witty. It's just fucking piece of shit, bully, asshole, motherfucker.
Uh-huh.
I bet you've never had a blowout. Dude, God. I want to kill this
Is he
guy
inventing
so
the
bad.
term for being shot in the vagina?
What is
that
it? The words blowout refer to two fucking things.
John Travolta movie.
Three fucking things. You have a tire pop and disintegrate when you're going real fast. That's a blowout. You get one of those haircuts. That's a blowout.
Oh, you flip flop.
Huh?
If you got flip flops on and like one of the ties comes undone, it's a blowout.
I've never heard that.
Never. You have
Have I?
blew out a flip flop, stepped on a pop top.
What is that?
Margaritaville.
I don't know that song.
You know
I know
that
this. I
fuck-
know
don't
that
even
song.
Fuck with me.
I know that song. I don't know the lyrics
There
of
is
that
no
song.
fucking world that you haven't heard that enough times to know that he says
I haven't.
I blew out
I
a
haven't.
flip flop.
I'll tell you
stepped on a
exactly.
pop top.
I'll tell you exactly the words that I know from Margaritaville. Wasting away again at Margaritaville. Rock shaker and salt, or some shit like that.
You're making this up.
I swear to God. Some people say that there's a wah, wah, wah. I don't know what he says there.
Yeah?
But I know blah 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 blah, and I don't know what he says after that.
God damn it.
Fuck Jimmy Buffett. Suck my balls.
I hate Jimmy Buffett, but I had to listen for like 6 years of my life. I had to llisten to the Jimmy Buffett channel working at a fucking restaurant.
That's not my fault.
No, it's not.
I've never had to listen to Jimmy Buffett for 6 years working in a restaurant
Huh?
because I would quit.
It's Florida.
I've
It's
never
on
worked.
the street corners.
I've never worked in a restaurant that would play Jimmy Buffett ever. The bar the White Lion that I've worked for 12 years that I still moonlight at. If Jimmy Buffett comes on the jukebox, we skip it because Jimmy Buffett, who is now dead, but you know what? I'm keeping it alive, has been actively banned from there since like 1985 for being an asshole.
in person as well.
In person.
Yeah,
He is banned in person, so we skip all of his songs if somebody puts him in.
that's fun.
He came in and was acting like a dick and tried to leave without paying his
I'm
fucking
annoyed,
bill.
but you have worked there so long that I actually this tracks. This is fine. But in any case, if you fuck up your flip flop, it's called a blowout.
Okay. All right. Either way, if you shoot a person in the vagina, it's not called a blowout.
Did he shoot her in the vagina?
He did not.
Oh,
He she is, obviously sobbing and pleading with him, asking him not to do it. And he just suddenly pulls the gun out, stands up and leaves. So she never reports the assault. She is a prostitute who's on drugs and has a pimp that she's fucking terrified of.
Yeah, she just got beat by her pimp.
Yeah, tale as old as fucking time. So I guess.
Tale as old as time.
By the way, on this particular day, May 30th, this wasn't May 30th. April 30th was when the other girl had the job. In May, this is a random day in May of 85. But on this day, Robinson made it back across state lines to Kansas to be at his son's soccer game.
Oh,
Cool.
that's sweet.
What a sweet dad.
It just occurred to me that I just did the Angela Lansbury lyric from the song "A Tale as Old as Time" from Beauty and the Beast.
Yes,
which works in this context. Beauty and the Beast.
So, how do we know this story that I just told you if she never reported it? Our intrepid FBI agents that are now on this,
Mulder and Scully,
have tracked some people in Robinson's orbit and been told about this particular apartment and about Teresa Williams. So they pay her a visit. At first, she gives them like a BS story about working for Equi 2. But after they grill her for a little bit and tell her that he's a suspect in the disappearances of 2 other women, she cracks and tells them about the assault. She also tells them that he has had her sign blank stationery as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Damn, that's his MO.
So I don't know.
Did he have all of his bitches sign blank stationery?
I don't know. And I also don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that under normal circumstances, as the FBI, you'd attempt to coerce someone like Teresa to help out in like a sting to take him down.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately, he shows up while the fucking FBI's there. They hear a key in the lock and he walks the fuck in. So they announce who they are. They check to make sure he doesn't have any weapons.
They say, "Freeze, cocksucker!"
They technically don't have a warrant to be there, but she
let them in.
It's tricky because she's a tenant. She let them in, but it's his property. So, but at any rate, he says he's in a hurry. He's got to be somewhere, and so he leaves. They make no attempt to stop him. I got
a murder. I have to be it.
Yeah. There was some shit with the state's witness on the Equi 2 fraud case that's ongoing. So there was some weird shit with like a guy that they have as a state witness that was a buddy of his that had flipped state witnesses to testify against him. He was having her write. So he had written this whole fucking diary sort of implementing him in a bunch of crimes that he didn't commit. This guy that was flipped on him. And he was having her write the same exact script in her diary. And she was going to, when they went to trial, she was going to be a witness that had like, oh, he told me all these stories and I wrote them down in my diary.
Wow.
Yeah. So they have the diary. When he walked in, the FBI agent held up the diary and he was like, his version, the one that he had written. And I was like, this yours? And he was like, yeah, I'm in a hurry. I got to go. And fucking dipped. So he knows, obviously,
speeds up
that he's
Lambo tires squealing.
That he doesn't know why they're there exactly, but he knows it's got probably some shit with the Equi fraud case.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the FBI though.
He knows. He knows it's about him.
That seems like a wall closing in, don't
you?
Yeah,
no shit. And so the FBI also immediately is like, we've got to get you out of here, to Heather, right? I'm sorry, to Teresa. They're like, we've got to get you out of here like now, right? Because maybe before we were going to use you and wire you up and see what we could get from you, but now, So they take Williams and they hide her.
It's a good call because that's the next time he came back. That was probably the end of her
immediately. Well, he's a suspect in 2 disappearances already. We got to get you the fuck out of here. You signed stationery? Did you say you signed blank stationery?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, get in the fucking car ASAP. So they there's some fuckery here with him being arrested for a violation of probation after this for carrying the gun and supplying Teresa with drugs. But because Teresa is in hiding, they've actually like flown her out of state. She was from like Idaho or something like that, I think, Boise area.
Now Idaho.
They've flown her out of state. So they've flown her away from Kansas City. But in order to convict him, she's got to testify. She's the whole like, how do you know he violated probation if you don't have this witness saying he pulled a gun on me, he gave me drugs, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you could ask any of the other prostitutes that live in that building.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If there are
any.
You
just need one,
Yeah. If there are any that are willing to talk, if there are any, period. I don't know. Maybe he just does one at a time.
So you could also just be like, hey, he's gonna fucking kill you, so you should probably work with us.
So she's got to testify, and
I got nothing
and
for the
she doesn't want to.
Nothing.
It's an old joke.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry. It was right there. It was such low hanging fruit.
I need a laugh track.
No, you don't. Producer Drew on the laugh track.
That was good.
Out of his mouth, not on the computer. So like I said, the FBI has flown her away from Kansas City. She's got to testify if he's going to be convicted. She doesn't want to testify, and you can't make her testify. So the state drops the charges. So this motherfucker got away with another one. So finally, thank fucking God, finally, January of 1986, he is convicted of fraud in the Equi 2 case, and he's got a second fraud conviction for some real estate deal in Arizona that he ripped somebody off on. So 2 separate trials, 2 separate juries, 2 separate guilties, right?
It's about time. He hasn't been caught for shit.
He's sentenced. He's sentenced to
Teflon John. We'd call him.
right. He's sentenced to 6 to 19 years as a habitual offender, but he's able to bail out pending his appeals. So he's convicted, but because it's a white collar crime, I guess he's got appeals, and they go, well, we'll set bail, and he pays the bail, and then he's out while he exhausts his appeals. Right. He's out for over a year and a half while he exhausts his appeals, which he does exhaust, right? He's finally sent to prison in late 1987. Around the time he's heading to prison in Kansas, another name of another missing woman pops up. This time it's 27-year-old Catherine Clampett. So Catherine had left her parents' home in Texas in January of 87 after answering a newspaper ad from Johnson promising a great job, lots of traveling, and a new wardrobe. So she moves...
Also free meth and weed.
She moves to Kansas City, by the way, leaving her child in Texas with her parents.
Good move.
And she came up with the intention to live with her brother and his family in Kansas City, get set up with this job, get set up with whatever. He's not saying you're going to be a prostitute. He's saying, I've got this bazillion dollar corporation, and I'm going to
say good move not bringing the kid, because the escalation on this guy is insane. Like, from his first fucking little fucking fraud bullshit 20 years ago to him now just assaulting and murdering people like at will.
Yeah.
You know,
so
that leads to eventually he's just going to kill the
kids.
Like,
the idea I'm assuming is that once she got everything set up, she would have the parents come and bring the child and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so
but I feel like the escalation with John Robinson here is that like eventually he's either selling the children just like
Jesus, like he did before.
Well, no, he sold that
like that one time.
No, I mean, he's already like in sex marketing, so he's probably good. He like next thing would either be selling the kids into that or just killing the kids.
Yeah, Jesus.
Producer Drew, if you weren't here for that, this is a guy that targets specifically single mothers.
Yeah. So he
real charmer.
Yeah. So she's gonna come up and live with the brother and the family. Fine. By June of 87, so she comes up in January of 87. By June of 87, she leaves one day to meet Robinson, and she is never seen again. Once again, there's no evidence to link her disappearance to Robinson, so he heads to prison with no investigation into him as a suspect.
What?
Yep.
So was this in the interim between
him being convicted and him being out on bail on appeal?
Oh fuck! So he
exhausts his appeal and he has to go to prison. And in that year and a half, he killed Catherine Clampett.
He's just like, probably going up the river. So let me just get one in real quick.
By the way, where the fuck is Nancy Joe? She's still married to him.
She's, I don't know, just raising the kids.
She's still married to him.
And the kids are fucking grown by now, right?
Yes.
Where are the kids? Well, the kids don't know about Pops here, huh?
Well, they got to know he's going to prison. Like now. Like right now. So Robinson spends less than 4 years in a prison in Kansas, right? Everybody likes him in prison, right? All the reports describe him as a model inmate. It's typical fucking con man shit, right? Mm-hmm. Stephen Hames, by the way, the probation officer, has not forgotten about him. He's been watching him, and he warns against releasing Robinson because they sentenced him to 6 to 19 years, and now they're paroling him out in 4. And Stephen Hames is like, no, dude, this guy is a perpetual offender and he's been linked to all these disappearances. And there was another one before he went to prison while he was out on bail. Like, this is not a good idea. This is going to keep escalating. So Stephen Hames writes to the board warning them not to release Robinson, but they release him anyway, aware of the fact that he's still got a probation violation case in Missouri. So remember the Borden embezzlement?
Yeah.
He was still on probation for that.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah. So he's immediately going to trial for that, which he loses that case as well. But he uses his medical issues. He's had a series of strokes during his 4 years in Kansas prison.
Coke.
He's had a series of strokes that have left him with like some weakness on one side of his body, right? So he uses these medical issues as leverage to keep the sentencing down. So Missouri only keeps him for 2 years, and during that time, he befriends a couple of the staff members at the prison, and he's just he's a model inmate,
The real charmer.
Yeah. So specifically, his friends that work for the prison are the prison doctor, William Bonner, and his wife Beverly, who is the prison librarian. She likes him enough to give him a job in the prison library.
I thought you were going to say hand job.
To give him a job in the prison library for the couple of years that he's there. Get what? A hand job?
Give him a hand job in the prison library.
Oh, that would be cool. No, you're still in prison. So she gives him a job in the prison in the library for the couple of years that he's there, and
he's caught stealing books.
and so he's released finally in the spring of 93.
No, I'm sure he's rehabilitated.
So, yeah, in his 6 years in prison, a lot has changed, right? Nancy Joe, all of his revenue stream is dried up, right? So Nancy Joe had to sell the big house on the 4 acres and downgrades to a fucking trailer. But the kids have all moved on. The older 2 are out of college and out in the world, and the twins are in college. So the smaller space was manageable. They rent some offsite storage.
Nancy Joe's still with him?
Nancy Joe is still married to him.
Get the fuck out of town.
Yes. After 6 years in prison. Still married to him.
I don't like to generalize, but Nancy Joe is a dumb bitch.
She's
a fucking idiot is what she is.
She's codependent. She's got something going on. So at any rate, they have downgraded to a trailer. They rent some offsite storage space for all their shit.
What's John going to do to get back on top?
Oh, just wait. So yeah, so they get some offsite storage space and all their shits and the extra shits in there, and they make do with the trailer. So did I mention that Beverly Bonner really liked John Robinson? Remember that hand job you mentioned?
Yeah.
So by January of 1994, she has left her husband, filed for divorce, and moved to Kansas City.
Oh God.
She starts working for the newly reformed Hydrogrow.
Whoa! He did Hydrogrow.
Yeah,
the home hobby
hydroponic
solution.
Yeah,
home hobby hydroponics.
Hydrogrow.
Home hobby hydroponics. So hold on a second. He jokered her.
He is, yeah. Beverly Bonner is his Harley Quinn.
He seduced the doctor's wife.
Yeah.
And she followed him after he got out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking bonkers.
Yep.
Maybe this guy really does have some juice. Like, I'm thinking like, oh, this fucking asshole, just some white guy is getting away with everything in America, right?
I told you.
Maybe he's a fucking master manipulator.
The fucking twists and turns. I said at the beginning, stay to the fucking end because this is crazy.
Is bonkers.
She leaves her husband, files for divorce.
Because he is not very good looking dude.
He's not good looking at all. She moves to Kansas
City. If any
City.
listeners understand this reference, he looks like Beans from Even Stevens.
She starts, when she gets to Kansas City, working as the president of Hydrogrow.
Hydrogrow. Home hydroponic hobby.
This part's important. This part's important. Her mom gets letters from her where she talks about how much she loves her new job, how much money she's making, and how she's got to travel a lot.
Are they all typed and signed at the bottom?
Oh, yeah. Yep. All that. She gives her mom a place to forward her mail, right? By the way, the letters have no return address. But she says, hey, can you forward my mail here, including my alimony checks, to a P.O. box in Olathe? And I'll bet you can guess who's got the key to that P.O. box. Nobody saw Beverly Bonner after January of 1994.
Damn.
Yeah. So
What happened to Hydro Girl?
the president's dead. Sorry, the president's missing.
Sorry, the president's missing.
This is fucking killing me inside. But now let's talk about Sheila Faith. Sheila lives in Puebla, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
She is a 45-year-old widow who has a 15-year-old wheelchair-bound daughter with spina bifida.
Mm.
Sheila's on disability, and according to her friends, is an intensely lonely woman since her husband passed away.
Right.
And she's raising this child.
Dedicated caregiver.
Yes. In 1994, she tells her friends that she met her dream man.
Mm.
She meets the dream man online.
Oh no, we've moved into a new era of horror.
Remember at the beginning I said the internet's
The
first serial
internet's
killer?
First serial killer. He'd been active for decades before the internet.
Yeah. So you see what
You know what,
happened
Patrick?
was...
Patrick, I was really fucking mad about you picking this topic because I fucking hate true crime bullshit. This is fascinating.
I told you you'd like it by the end.
I mean, I'm not thrilled that all these poor young women have been
I'm
murdered,
not either.
but, like,
I'm not either. But again, going back to our whole shtick, which is how does nobody know this? How is this man not a household name when we talk about serial killers? Because this man has been going since 67?
Yeah.
And it is now 90 something?
It's pretty wild.
So 94, right? So she meets her dream man online. You know what happened? John's been in prison for 6 years. You know what has proliferated in those years? The fucking internet.
Wow.
He discovers the internet while in prison, working in the library.
And the first fucking thing that this guy thinks
He
is
gets
like, what
out-
can I use this for?
He gets out of the clink, and he goes, oh boy, what are some of my interests?
BDSM and murder.
Yeah, well, there's bondage sex, right? And so he finds BDSM chat rooms
Yep. Welcome to the internet.
where he goes by the handle Slave Master.
Not very creative.
Gross is what I thought.
Slave master.
Fucking gross.
And
And
he goes by the handle Slave Master.
so, fucking God, what a...
In the BDSM dungeons.
I want to walk
With the
outside and
other-
just scream profanities at the
other
sky.
moderators, Poon Wizard and Cum Slime.
I mean, I'm sure.
Those are the other people in the chat room.
I'm sure if given the opportunity to really sit down and come up with way more witty BDSM chat room names,
I can do that.
we could come up with them real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do that right now because then you're not going to listen to the story, but we can still do a Patreon after this.
Is Whip It Good 69.
Jesus Christ. So it is actually in those BDSM chat rooms that he meets Sheila while perusing for, quote, women who enjoyed playing the submissive partner role during sex. So he, to Sheila, projects himself as a wealthy, successful businessman and philanthropist, and he fucking promises her everything. He's going to take her on a fucking cruise, which is a red flag right out the gate.
There you go, yeah.
You can't take me on a real vacation. A fucking Giardia covered boat is where you're going to take me that I can't get off of. Fuck you. He's going to take her on a cruise. He's going to pay for her daughter Debbie's medical expenses. He's going to give her a new job in his company and all the fucking princess treatment she could ever want. He is just going to take such good care of her, right? So Sheila's like, word. Tells all her friends, I've found this dream man. She only tells them John is his name. That's the only name she gives them. So, and Sheila already had a trip planned that summer to go down to visit some family in Texas.
I've met my dream man. He's going to care
Slave
for
master.
me. His name's Slave Master, who's going to care for me and will do butt bondage.
God, so I'm sure she left that part out with her friends where they met, but you know. So she already has this trip planned for Texas to visit.
It is kind of sad that she met him in like a BDSM chat
A lonely
room.
woman caring for with a dead husband caring for a daughter with spina bifida who's wheelchair bound. And by the way, I think that's like electric wheelchair bound.
Yeah, and just like she's just reaching out for like any sort of escapist fantasy, and lets it become reality. That's fucking
It's terrible.
Sad. That's
it's
miserable.
terrible. So as I said, she has this trip planned for Texas to visit family. And she decides, well, you know what? We're going to swing through Kansas City so I can meet John and see how things go. And so she tells him, hey, we're going to, this is when we're going to come down. We're going to, whatever. And it's still like several weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one night, John shows up at her house in Colorado in the middle of the night.
That's no good.
He drove to Colorado and just shows up at her fucking house. And the two of them are never fucking seen again. By the way, what's up?
The mother and daughter?
Yes.
We're just never seen again. What's
Sheila and Debbie Faith. Never seen again.
Okay, so how do we know that he shows up at her house?
Well, I'm not sure
Lambo
about that.
tracks.
I do Lamborghini track. I do know that her disability checks were miraculously being sent to a P.O. box in Olathe. Yeah. Remember who's got the keys to that, right?
Yep, sure do.
And he would cash those checks for the next 7 years.
7 years?
Yeah, we've still got 7 years of this guy being a fucking menace.
What time are we at? We're like...
No, the years go by quickly here.
How many more people does he fucking kill?
Put a pin in that real quick. I'm not going to go through the entire confession of a woman named, well, this is not her actual name because her own safety. But there was a woman named Chloe Elizabeth who he met on a fetish magazine, like you were talking about earlier, with like the classifieds in the back. And so again, he's looking for BDSM partners, and he contacts this person. They talk back and forth for a while. She did a lot of. There's a very, very cool, by the way, very graphic interview where she talks a lot about this. And by the way, a lot of this information that I'm getting here, most of it I would say, because everything else was kind of real condensed. Vanity Fair did an article on this, and it's really good. That's where I got most of this. So credit where credit's due. Vanity Fair did an awesome job on that article. But there is a confession from Chloe Elizabeth talking about her and John Robinson's interaction. Obviously, he didn't kill her, but it's lengthy, it's graphic, and this is where we first see him having girls sign slave contracts, which they sign willingly. But he lures them in with this BDSM.
Something tells me that's not a legally binding contract.
Probably not. And also it's got like 115 provisions in it, and who knows how cleverly worded these little clauses and stuff are. Because I know at least with his next victim, there is something in there that gives him access to all of her bank accounts. So, but this is where she is the first one who signed a slave contract, quote unquote, before they engaged in, what they engaged in. So
dirty, sweaty, horrible,
consensual adult sex.
Yeah.
So in 1996, John and Nancy Joe moved to a different trailer park.
Gross,
upgrade,
stinky, basement-oriented.
Are we still going about
moldy,
the sex? Consensual adult sex.
Slappy, happy,
cranky, spanky, grumpy, happy. We're just naming the fucking dwarves now.
Fucking reflective
bashful
leather.
So yeah, they moved to a different trailer park, and they also buy a 16-acre plot of farmland south of Olathe, and
that's why she sticks around. He provides.
Probably, honestly, probably. Especially if those 6 years he was gone. Those 6 years he was gone. She had to downgrade from a 9-bedroom house to a fucking trailer.
Yeah, but I bet she wasn't. But her kids are all going to college.
Yeah,
she still had some money.
Now she's back on that come up.
That fucking 9-bedroom house that made some money. She got some dough out of that.
Yeah,
so
I guess
she was able to go make it through the 6 years. He comes back immediately. They're moving into better places.
They're back on that come up. So
also, she probably likes dirty, stinky, wet.
You think so?
Leathery.
You don't think he's doing all this because he can't get it at home?
I mean, there's no way that you have that sort of like graphic fantasy life and fulfillment like fetish, and you don't at least let it bleed into your
maybe.
a little bit.
Maybe
either he's got like fucking stacks of like fucking leather magazines.
He might not even be fucking her anymore. He might not even be fucking her.
I mean, I guess yeah.
He's got a whole apartment complex full of prostitutes.
Yeah, but it's like you can't run through every one of those right off the bat. You got to build as a whole process. He's obviously incredibly intelligent and good at what he's doing to get this shit.
Yes,
so you can't just
guy.
fucking constantly abuse all of these fucking brainwashed prostitutes. You gotta there's a structure there. So like, he's obviously an incredibly weird, disturbed, and horny fucking scuzzball. So I'll bet you, was it Joanne? Betty Ann?
Nancy Jo.
Nancy Jo is at least hip to the sleaze.
Nah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Hip to the
she
sleaze.
knows what he's into.
Hip to the sleaze, good band name.
Right. So as I said, John and Nancy Jo move into a different trailer park. They buy the 16-acre farm and put a trailer out there too. Mm. That is south of Olathe, and that's sort of their second property, right? Mm-hmm. And Robinson is still on them internets, baby. At this point, between his properties, he's got 3 desktops and 2 laptops. And Slave Master is on the BDSM chats for hours every day.
Oh, yeah.
In 1997, he meets Isabel Lewicka, a Polish immigrant and 21-year-old freshman at Purdue. And he meets her on a BDSM website. Mm. After extensive conversation, he offers her an internship, and she moves from Indiana to Kansas City.
That's a fucking hell of a move.
Yeah. As a 21-year-old freshman at Purdue. She does this in spite of her parents asking her not to go.
She's dropping out of college so she get fucked weird.
That's, boy.
It's like, no, you need to stay in college, finish your education.
Please.
Like, but I want the worst, sweatiest,
but an
grimiest,
internship, right? And I mean, even so, an internship.
Sweatiest.
Again, this guy is putting all kinds of frosting on the cake, right? I am a wealthy,
the cakiest, frostingest.
I am a fucking wealthy, successful man who owns this big, wealthy corporation. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you an internship. I'm also going to fuck you sideways. But I'm going to take care of you.
BDSM website.
You don't need to go to college.
He's probably like, I'll make you like a creepy fuck slave. And she's like, okay, cool.
I don't know. But at any rate,
I don't know. I can't see the perspective on these things. But
she packs up her shit and she moves to Kansas City. She does leave her parents an address in Overland Park, Kansas. And, she goes. So her parents write her a bunch of letters. And they never get a response. So they decide to drive to the address only to find that it's the location of a mailboxes, etc. Do you remember mailboxes, etc.?
Yeah, it's like the UPS store.
Yeah, very much like that. So they explain the situation to the manager, who refuse to give them any information about the owner of the P.O. box. Now, this is not the same P.O. box in Olathe that's getting the alimony checks and the disability checks. It's a different one, but little did they know that Robinson had her in a Kansas City apartment after she signed his 115 provision sex contract, right?
That's a lot of provisions.
His slave contract. And so he took care of all of her bills and expenses, and she's around for a while, comparatively. She's around for 2 years. Mm-hmm. At some point, he gives her a wedding ring, but since he's still fucking married to Nancy Jo, obviously he never turned in any of the appropriate paperwork. But for the next 2 years, she's seen with him quite a bit. And he always sort of plays it off as, oh, she works for me, or oh, she's my niece, or oh, she's my whatever. Like,
she's my leather fuck pig.
Well, she's seen out a lot wearing like, fucking all BDSM'd out, like spike collar and leather shit, and probably pretty hot, but that's just
she's an attractive lady. I did just look up a bunch of pictures. Yeah, good looking lady.
A lot of these girls, I went and looked at their pictures, and I'm like,
yeah, he did.
And I just feel terrible.
Literally, just like picked like the loveliest women,
And I'm like, how the fuck, fucking silver tongued asshole. That's it.
Yeah, like
fucking con man.
Lisa Stasi.
Beautiful,
gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bummer.
Jesus Christ. So Like I said,
not that it's less sad if they're unattractive.
no.
You know,
But no, the confounding
Sheila Faith, not a particularly good looking woman, and that
Sheila
story
was
is fucking heartbreaking.
That's just I don't know what that was. That was probably just to get her fucking checks.
Yeah, it's money. Checks. That's he downgraded his like fucking the heights of like
Right.
the abuse he wants to put these gorgeous women through just so he could get a victim
Get some
that
money.
just fucking get some money through. Yeah.
So the thing is not comparing whether they were pretty or whether they were not. The thing is the confounding part of him getting these really pretty young girls is he is not an attractive man.
Yeah.
That's the part. That's why that bears mentioning, is that he's not a good looking dude.
Yeah, he's a fucking weird looking.
And at this point, he's in his 50s, and he's got a pretty, he's what 50. What year are we in? 99? 97? 97. He's 54 years old.
Yeah.
He's got a pretty 21-year-old Polish immigrant who should be going to fucking Purdue, all leather daddied up and walking around the fucking streets for 2 years as his sex slave because she signed a fucking contract. And one day in August of 99, she fucking disappears. And anybody who asks him about her, he says, oh, she was caught smoking weed with her boyfriend and she got deported.
Deported?
She's Polish.
Yeah.
She came here as a child. She was like 12 when she came here from Poland, but that's what he tells people.
God damn.
Almost immediately after that, he meets Suzette Troughton online. Suzette is a 27-year-old home health nurse in the Detroit area who, in addition to collecting teacups and Pekingese dogs, God damn it, she also likes being hung up by the numerous piercings in her breasts and genitals.
Like you do.
And driving nails through her tits. There's a picture of her that circulated online with her with nails through her breasts.
What kind of dogs?
Pekingese.
Pekingese? That's cute.
Yeah. People are complex. We've said it before.
Yeah.
So home health nurse with teacup collection and Pekingese dogs, and hang me by my pussy piercings.
People contain multitudes.
And slap me.
And again, we're certainly not kink shaming over here.
No, if you're into it, go nuts, dude.
Yeah, consensual adult sex, whatever.
Totally fun.
Stinky,
whatever.
Slimy, clinky, clanky,
yes,
slippy,
that one's
slappy.
clinky, clanky. So he offers her a job taking care of his rich elderly father on his yacht as they sail to Hawaii. His dad's been dead for fucking a decade.
Yeah, and was an alcoholic,
and was an abusive alcoholic, and definitely isn't rich and has a yacht. He's also going to pay her $60,000 a year.
That's more money than he has.
And give her an apartment and a car in Kansas City while she's staying. During the time that they're in the city. So she decides to pack up her shit and head to Kansas City from Detroit area. He puts her up in a fancy hotel, boards the dogs, has her sign a slave contract, and 30 blank sheets of stationery.
30 blank sheets of stationery. He's really up in his game.
As well as 40 plus envelopes to relatives and friends that she put their addresses on, right?
Whoa.
All under the premise that once they're on the yacht, she's going to be too busy to correspond with them. And I'll take care of it. I'll reach out to everybody and let you know what's going on. I'll let them know what's going on, right? Just sign these. If you're taking care of the correspondence, why do I need to sign it? Just say, hey, this is John. I'm letting you know. If you have questions, I'll have her send some
letting
shit.
you know she's
dead as fuck.
She's sucking my toes over here,
God
or whatever.
Damn.
Fucking, I don't know, a dog outfit. I don't know what people do.
So while she's staying in the hotel,
she's wearing a faux leather green Kermit the Frog outfit right now.
She was talking every day to a friend of hers on a BDSM chat and on the phone every day with her mother.
At the same time? Mom, I just really want to be hung by my pussy and whipped. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. We're not supposed to be making jokes about her.
I'm not kink shaming again.
No, I guess that's true. So he has told her that we're going to be in Kansas City for 2 weeks and then we're leaving on the yacht. We're going to Hawaii. You take care of Dad and make all the money and whatever. I'll take care of the rest. So she's been talking to her friends and her mom every day, and he doesn't know that. So on the morning of March 1st, 2000, Robinson checks out of the hotel room, picks the dogs up from the boarding place. Troughton wasn't with him when he did these things, according to, when they went and talked to the witnesses. her friend in the chat room and her mom stopped hearing from her, and they got kind of suspicious. So they called Robinson to ask where she was. And he tells them that she decided last minute not to take the job and run away with a man named James Turner.
James Turner.
Obviously, they don't fucking believe that shit because they talk to her every day. Where haven't heard shit about James Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Where the fuck did this come from? So a couple weeks later, they start getting emails from Suzette, but they obviously don't fucking believe that shit either. So they report her missing, and fucking finally, they get a detective who takes this shit seriously. Like, how many fucking missing people have been linked to this fucking guy that you finally get a detective who's like, okay, let me look into what the fuck this is.
On top of all the fraud, it looks like the count is 8. 8 missing women.
8, and by the way,
ranging in ages from 15 to 49.
15 was the daughter with spina bifida that he killed. 49 was, I think, her mother, Sheila. Was it Sheila? I think so. Sheila Faith, yeah. So, by the way, it's 8 that we know of. This guy, after he was arrested, never fucking talked. He has not fucking said shit.
Narcissism. That's it. That sort of narcissistic shit is like, no, I'm too
but
high.
a lot of these guys leverage because he's got a death penalty. So he's death row in Missouri, not in Kansas. He's got multiple sentences.
I would be,
if he gets out of one, he's got to go to the other.
I would be shocked to find that he doesn't still think that he might get out of it somehow.
Probably not,
because that sort of level of like fucking narcissistic, self grandeur.
Yeah,
is so permeating to everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to find that out.
Especially somebody who can fucking joker somebody like that.
Yeah,
that's like this guy. Yeah, fuck gift of gab, as producer Drew texted to me quietly instead of interrupting.
Interrupt. Yeah, he's still in prison. He's still never talked. He still maintains that he didn't do any of this shit. It's just all some crazy coincidence. It's the secret Jewish cabals.
Is he raving about Jewish cabals?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I'm just thinking of things that crazy people say. Space lasers.
The Jews took my Lamborghini.
No, this detective, David Brown, ends up requesting a task force, including the FBI. And the first thing the FBI does, you know who they bring back?
Ooh.
Our boy Steve Hames.
Steve Hames is back on the case.
They bring back Steve Hames because they're like, you fucking clocked him after Lisa Stasi.
Plus years ago.
After Lisa Stasi, after the second victim.
He's like, this guy's a fucking problem. Like,
yeah. And even after he went to prison and they were going to parole him out, he was like, I wouldn't do that.
Seems like a serial murderer.
So to sort of put a cap on this, and it's going to be a really fast one.
Boo this man.
They show up with a search warrant. They search his house. They find nothing, but they also search the farm property.
Mm-hmm.
In the farm property, they find
hold on, I'm gonna guess 8 bodies.
No, 2.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, this is why he's,
because he just got that property. Yeah.
Yeah, this is why he's stayed silent about it. They find they find 85-gallon drums filled with some chemical solvent and the bodies of Isabella Wicca and Suzette Troughton, the last two women. So he's pretty much boned then. They also find at his house, he still has, from fucking years earlier, a piece of stationery with Lisa Stasi's signature on it.
Oh, trophy. Classic trophy.
Yeah.
Because she's the first victim.
Second.
Who's the first one?
Paula Godfrey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's trophy. Classic trophy.
Mm-hmm. So they also search the offsite storage facilities, and they find a lot of fucked up shit there. Mm-hmm. And he is, fucking down shit creek with no paddle for 100% sure. So in the offsite storage, they find more big drums, big vats, with more corpses in them, and those were Beverly Bonner, Sheila Faith, and Debbie Faith, the daughter.
He transported them from Texas or some shit.
No. They were all in his offsite storage in Kansas. They had the trailer in the trailer
No,
park
where did they live?
in Colorado.
So he went to
So
Colorado.
yeah, he brought him
got
back.
them,
Oh yeah,
him
he brought him
back,
back.
and-
He brought him back. I don't know if he killed them there and brought him back, or if he was like, surprise, let's go.
What a serial killer ass thing that would be to do though. Just like go
Kill them there and then bring them back?
States
Jesus.
with bodies in your car.
Yeah.
That'd be
No,
so.
well, just one
very
state over.
Bundy
Colorado's
thing to do.
Colorado's next door to Kansas.
Yeah,
but
Bundy
still,
always talked about how like he fucking thrilled at getting like pulled over for tickets or something.
knowing that he had
with like a corpse in the car. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, so all of the women had been killed with blows to the head with a blunt instrument. And he stood trial for the murders of Troughton, Lewicka, Stasi, and a bunch of other lesser charges. He was convicted on all counts. He received the death penalty for the murders of Troughton and Lewicka, the last two, and life imprisonment for Stasi's murder because she was killed before Kansas reinstated the death penalty. So, he also received a 5 to 20 year prison sentence for interfering with the parental custody of Tiffany Stasi, who became Heather Robinson, and 20 years for kidnapping Troughton and 7 months for theft. And they offered a plea bargain if he would talk about where the bodies of Lisa Stasi and Paula Godfrey and Catherine Clampett and all these bodies that they never got, right? Robinson.
I want to check that fucking big yard with the fucking house with 9 rooms. Oh, there's another thing. All right, so fucking Sarah Jo.
Nancy Jo.
Nancy Jo's just not fucking isn't even worried about these giant barrels that keep popping up full of bodies.
God. I guess she doesn't open the barrels.
No,
but
this bitch is fucking complicit as shit.
Yeah.
Like,
it finally in 2005, after he's already in prison, Nancy Jo filed for divorce after 41 years of marriage, citing incompatibility and irreconcilable differences. That dick's behind bars now, and his money is too. The next year, Stasi's daughter, who God knows what the fuck is going through her head, filed a suit against Truman Medical Center in Kansas City for putting her mother and her in touch with this dude to begin with, and with a specific social worker, I'm guessing, who was the one who put her in contact. I don't know. I didn't look to see if there were any interviews with her. But yeah, I mean that pretty much wraps this up. He's still in prison now in Kansas, and yeah, man, it's a fucking whirlwind, crazy ass fucking ride of criminality.
a literal ass fucking ride of criminality.
Check the contract. I don't know. What's it say?
It's gonna say
Provision 103. Dude.
Provision 5, butt fucking.
But fucking what?
Butts.
Oh. But yeah, that's I know this one went a little bit long. It was
Provision 1, I'm gonna have sex with your vagina.
I'm gonna have
P and vag.
I didn't want to do this as a two-parter because one, it's a crazy story. Two, if I did it as a two-parter, what's to stop people in the week interim between part 1 and part 2 from just being like, I gotta know the rest of this fucking story. Like, although I guess there was a natural stopping point. If we had done one part that was just his financial crimes, and then be like, tune in next week for part 2, and then it's just murder. Like that could have been. But I wanted to do it all in one shot. So yeah, we ran a little extra, but it, like I said, I hope you stuck around until now because it was a fucking crazy one. This dude there's no reason why me saying John Edward Robinson shouldn't be as like memorable as name one.
No.
Gary Ridgway.
Which one's Ridgway? Ridgway's the
Green River
Killer, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just John Edward Robinson is a boring name.
It's a generic name, but
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of generic names that when you put all three of them, then it's
Does he have a serial killer nickname?
the internet's first serial killer.
Internet's
which,
first serial
like I
killer?
said at the beginning, is a misnomer because that was like the last two people.
That's too long
Three
for
people.
That's too long for a serial killer name though, because like Green
Yeah.
River Killer,
Yeah.
Zodiac Killer,
Slave master.
Slave
That
Master.
should have been it, but I don't get paid for these things.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't want him to have any notoriety. That's what, like, again, like I said at the beginning, if he's driven at all by notoriety, which it seems like he probably is because he's a fucking intensely narcissistic man, I'm immediately sort of torn on this episode because I don't want to give him that.
Mm-hmm.
I want this guy to fucking die in a pit with no one even knowing he's there.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
So it's a tough sort of like wrestling with myself going, should we even talk about this guy? But then at the same time, it's like everybody's on the internet and look at what this fucking guy did by sort of luring people in a way that, you know, like fucking like Sheila Faith, you know?
Yeah.
Just a sad, lonely lady who who
just was into fucking fantasy.
was
and
like, yeah,
early internet stuff.
God, it would be
like,
so hot if some guy would just, you know, tie me up and this and that and the other thing. And I know a lot of women who think that way.
It's a very, very common fantasy.
It's a super common fantasy.
And like
and she was so lonely that she got herself. She didn't get herself. This fucking prick killed her and her daughter.
I think one of the big dangers with online like BDSM community stuff is that it's really easy to find good communities that are like open and have like good dialogue and like there's like apps and stuff and you can rate people and like you can fucking like go on BDSM dates and shit.
Sure.
Like that's the way that the world has evolved with that. But at the time that she was doing this kind of stuff,
it wasn't nearly as safe.
It wasn't nearly that sophisticated, right? And like the big,
and it was unsafe.
The big danger with this kind of shit is that if you dip a toe in just to be like, I like getting spanked, then it's like there's no just getting spanked site. There's no like I like a light bondage
there probably
experience.
is. Back then?
No, I mean just in general. You can't just be like, I want a light bondage experience because it's going to put you in contact with the same people who are like, well, we're gonna the biggest dildos in the butt. Right. You know, like,
oh, my butt.
Oh.
Sign the contract.
Yeah, there's going to be like fucking, you're going to be they're like, I don't know. I think maybe like some handcuffs and some light spanking play. And the guy's like, I want to brand you.
Well, so interesting because we brought up safety. And so that, again, that was sort of my one thing that I was like, you know what? If this episode makes anybody think twice before putting themselves in a vulnerable situation, then okay. Going back to that Chloe Elizabeth interview, one of the things that I think maybe the reason why she wasn't a victim is, and you'll have to read the interview again. It's on the Vanity Fair. If you just look up John Edward Robinson Vanity Fair, she did a lot of due diligence. She had him like send her things to prove who he was. Obviously, none of those included his fucking criminal record, but
right, yeah.
And she apparently. So they did engage in consensual BDSM sex.
Steaky, slimy.
Creamy. She apparently had someone else in the house in case shit went down.
Oh, like
so she was super like
a fuck sitter.
I guess so. Yeah, she had.
I've never really heard of that. That makes perfect sense.
She had some big burly motherfucker hiding somewhere in the house, and in case shit went down, I don't know if that's like she had a safe word with him, but she was cautious about it.
The way that kind of shit has to be sometimes.
And he made a comment as he was leaving about not being able to believe that she trusted him so much that you know, like right out the gates, because he could have killed her. He made a comment. I'm paraphrasing, but it was along those lines, where the punchline was, "I could have killed you." As a man who's already murdered multiple people.
And she's like, yeah, I know. That's why I...
Yeah, that's why John is in the... I guess John is leaving my house. That's why Richard's in the fucking... That's why he's in the bathroom with a fucking shillelagh ready to fucking break your skull.
Yeah, the internet's a fucking very dangerous place, man.
Yeah.
And there's so many people out there that are fucking creepy predators. Terrifying world. I mean, like also,
and like I said again at the top, the world we live in now,
it's very topical.
Those people have access to you,
and they're everywhere.
A few clicks on a computer.
The silver tongue narcissist is one of the most dangerous types of anybody. They're like, those are the ones that in like the horror stories are the big reveal at the end, and like, oh, it's been them all along. That's the most dangerous thing about them.
You can go through. You could probably list a million movies right off the bat.
Yeah.
You know, where it's first one that comes to mind. I don't know why, because I'm not a Disney fan. Is fucking Jafar. It's like Jafar, goddamn silver tongue narcissist Jafar. I wag my fist at you,
Lion Hitler. I don't.
Lion Hitler. You're thinking Scar.
Oh, Jafar.
Aladdin.
Yeah, sorry,
Jafar's
yeah,
Aladdin.
Jafar. Yeah, my bad. Yeah.
But also Scar.
Genie Hitler.
Genie Hitler. Persian Hitler is the thing.
Were they Persian? Was that Persian? No,
Yes.
it was Baghdad, right? So it would have been like whatever. But yeah, the especially this with the story of like Neil Gaiman coming out this past week, which is a fucking bummer. I've never been a huge Gaiman fan, but I'm a big comic book fan, and like I've got a bunch of friends that are huge Gaiman
The
fans.
only book of his that I ever read was American Gods.
American
and
Gods
I
is
liked
okay.
it.
Yeah, it's okay. I think Anansi Boys is better, but
Yeah.
it's that one's. He has this incredible ability to write these like really like intense like family dramas that are really really good.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like if you ever read The Sandman,
Mm-hmm.
this is commented on all over the internet right now. He wrote a story about a guy who gets like fame and fortune because he like ties up like a muse, like an old like Grecian muse, you know, as this beautiful woman, and he like rapes her and uses her for decades and makes this big career as like a writer and stuff. And like there's a lot of commentary on like, wow, that's pretty fucking apropos, right, buddy? Like,
Right, what you know,
yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But you would never think that like that was like an insight into somebody. You just like what a fucking weird dark story.
I don't give
you know?
a shit if it's consensual. The thing is, once it becomes a, going over the fucking line thing, then now you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, because that the whole thing with the Neil Gaiman thing, that's like that's really problematic.
I
guess.
don't know. You
It's-
have to tell me the point, and then I'll
it's
tell
that,
you
like,
if it's problematic or not.
There's like no there's some. There are no accusations really of like just straight rape, you know. But it's all coercion, manipulation. You know, it's all that kind of shit, and the story is really graphic and uncomfortable and fucked up. You know, and so it's like the same, not to the same level as John Edward Robinson got, of course, but like.
Well, but it is the same because, again, it's leveraging a position of power.
Right.
It's leveraging, for Neil Gaiman, a famous author, for John Robinson, it's I'm this successful businessman and I've got tons of money. It's leveraging that to sort of keep pushing.
What if,
and that's not okay.
What if Gaiman had that same addiction to like escalation that John Robinson had?
Ugh,
you know, at a certain point, you're Cosby, you know, or or who do we got? Who's a murderer? Who's a famous murderer right now? We got any of those? Did he kill anybody?
Not that we're aware of.
Did he do it?
Well, so let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Bye.
Still not how we end the show.
Thanks for calling.
We've been doing this for how long now?
Long time listener, first time caller.
Thanks again for listening, guys. If you enjoyed the show, please let us know. Leave us a comment, leave us a rate, leave us a review. If you want to see the corresponding pictures that go with this episode or any other episodes, go ahead and follow us on Instagram. We drop a post every week when we drop an episode, and that's got sort of all the visuals and stuff. So give us a follow so you can see those.
I don't know what fucking visuals I'm going to post for this shit.
It's going to be...
It's all just going to be.
John Robinson
it's going to be
a piece of shit.
BDSM porn, just hardcore. Explore the community in 10 Instagram photos.
Oh God, I don't know. We're gonna have to discuss the specifics on
I
that.
never
one,
discuss these things with you. I just
But
do them.
This one's a little more sensitive than our previous topics. So we are also at Delete Everything Podcast. Like I said, Instagram, Facebook, Threads. If you want to support the show even more than that, then you can find us on Patreon. That's going to be patreon.com/Delete Everything Podcast. That's going to be, we've got a lot of short episodes. We drop a short episode a week, and it's a little more topical, a little more conversational, a little less edited.
If you've enjoyed our charming casual manipulation here on the internet, then you should drop us a line. And
Sign this contract.
We can communicate.
Sign it. No, you don't have to read that. Skip over 114. Just go sign.
Just sign this piece of paper for me. Sign this.
It's just a blank piece. Sign 30 blank pieces of paper for me. At the bottom? No. Further down.
It's
a
a
little
stipulation
to the right.
in the
A little
slave
to the right.
contract.
A little to the
Stipulation 4, you got to sign 30 blank pieces
God
of paper.
almighty, that's fucking the worst. All right, well, that's enough for me. Love you guys. Thanks. Bye.